everybody, and welcome back to Come Play Podcast, episode number 20. On this podcast, we're going to talk about the NBA trade deadline. We're going to wrap that up. We're going to talk about, as Bobby calls it, the AAF. And we're going to talk about the NFL offseason. And joining me this week, and we will have a special guest later. You will hear that later. But joining me this week is everybody. So all four of us. Say what's up, guys.
Hello.
Yo.
Top of the morning. I'm feeling like ass, but let's do this.
Top of the morning, end of the morning. What's the difference?
You know what will make you feel better, Brendy? Zach's thought of the week. That's what's going to make you feel
better. Yeah. Let's hear that.
Zach, let's hear it.
This week's thought of the week, I'm sure it will make you guys feel better.
The segue of the century right there.
You get $100,000, but for a year, everything you say sounds like a question.
This is talking to any girl at a bar, like to like the top of the top level.
Yeah, I mean, if you just hang out at bars, you'll fit right in, get laid all the time.
Jesus Christ.
God almighty.
I don't know.
$100,000, but like, okay, so like,
sounds like a question.
You have to ask a question, or like it just like sounds like you're talking in question form.
It sounds like a question, like, yeah.
So
you don't have to talk in questions. It just sounds like a question.
So like, if you're at your house, you just gotta like, if you're like wanting to play Xbox, you're like, man, I really want to play some Xbox.
Right.
This would suck. This would suck at any business meeting ever. Because it'd be like, all right, guys, our sales are down. What do we do? Well, I think we should, cut off these employees. We should lay off these guys. We should also get out of this business.
Dude, I don't know, man. That's not enough money. I don't know. Well, maybe for slightly more. Like, can I get a raise?
My girlfriend would get so tired of me so fucking quickly. Jesus Christ. It's $100,000, man. That pays off most of my student debt. Fuck. $100,000. I don't think so, man. I can't because just because I'm gonna hate myself for sounding like that at some point down the line. Like within the first couple days, I'm gonna be so pissed. And
you probably not talk as much.
No, but here's the thing: I have to be, in what I do here at school and professionally. Like I have to talk. Like I have to talk.
Well, sign language is a good one, but here's an idea I have. I'll just become a Buddhist and take a voluntary vow of silence.
Vow of silence.
Dude, there's some guy that works with Travis Barker, the drummer for Blink-182, that has taken a vow of silence for 22 years.
Wow.
He hasn't spoken a word in 22 years.
Wow.
Dude, I'll just be like that.
Wow.
No, I'll just be like that monk from the second Hangover movie and just not say a word the whole movie.
So, wait, I'm kind of interested in this though. Wait, is there a reason he does that?
I don't know. He was talking about it on Rogan.
Travis was talking about it on Rogan?
He was on Rogan recently.
I thought you meant the quiet guy.
Yeah, I'm like,
on Rogan.
Yeah, right.
He's not a normal dude. Excuse me. Well, obviously he's not a normal dude.
What? Excuse me. Yeah. You think
he doesn't have like he's not a monk or anything. He doesn't really have a reason other than he just wants to. As far as I know,
there's got to be some like underlying reason. Like he just.
I mean, yeah, there's got to be a reason, but
yeah, there's always a reason for that kind of
thing.
I
just feel like not talking at all.
So
basically just me in middle school. That's what I have to do for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah. Did you not talk a lot in middle school?
Dude, I was the quietest motherfucker in middle school. Like, I'm pretty sure people didn't even know I could talk. That's how quiet I was. Like, I don't know. That's just how I was. But
no,
I don't know.
I'd probably do it and just try not to talk as much.
Yeah, if I do it, I'd definitely be a lot more quiet. But like I said before, like everything that I have to do in school, like somebody needs to kind of put their foot down, like leadership wise, because you're working in teams a lot of the time, and everything sounding like a question is definitely not the leadership qualities that a crew would be looking for.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. Oh my god! But wait, imagine the podcast though. Like, imagine we're on here talking like that. I think the NFL is not good at handling domestic violence cases.
I don't know. Now that I think about it, like, you know, $100,000 a year, like that's a pretty good amount. I mean,
Well, you can choose to stop it the next year. You don't have to do it like you get your 100K, then you have to talk in questions for a year.
okay.
Then it's over.
I thought you meant like I'd be forced into this.
No, you don't like if you take the 100K, then for the next year it's in effect. But then after the year's over,
okay. But
I guess you could either take another 100K and do it again, or just decide not to.
So if I took like 200K, then like could I stock up?
No, you can't stock up.
Oh dang!
Here we go, looking for like the loopholes and the.
Dude,
and the
I'm
extra
trying to find a loophole or something.
I mean, I think the
good
best
luck.
loophole is just not talking as much.
Yeah, I think the vow of silence. I think is going to be your best bet right there.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So now that I think about it, though, like 100K, like that's a living right there. So like I would consider it. I'd probably do it.
I wouldn't say immediately no, but after stating everything that I've stated about it so far, I probably wouldn't get involved in this. It just there's way too many repercussions that I feel like I get myself into. I can't talk in general, let alone this being put on me, and I'm gonna sound like a complete fucking idiot walking around like that. Like, oh my god, I can't even imagine. I'm not gonna be able to do this show. I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna be able to do this show if I have to do that.
Man, I think I want to have sex. Maybe.
Jesus.
Hey, babe, let's have sex.
Yeah, imagine trying to like I don't know. You go into the store, right, and you're picking something up. Like say you're picking up a pizza, right? So you're picking up a pizza from the store, and they're like, oh, do you want like I don't know, like here, there's a place called Pie 5 at the end of the street here. Oh, do you want cinnamon sticks with that? Yes.
And then the guy's like, okay, wow, this guy has an attitude. Fuck him.
Yeah, right. And it was funny. We were there yesterday, and there was the guy there was asking my roommate if he wanted like Old Bay and like this kind of cheese seasoning that they have, and he's like, do you want this or that? And he goes, can I actually have both? He's like, oh my God, thank God you said that because people say yes to that. Do you want this or that? And they say yes. Like all the time. He's like, so thank you for saying both.
Yeah.
Like, but imagine that. But imagine saying like question, yes? No?
Dude, I would just like if I was behind the counter there, I'd probably just get pissed and clock the dude.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I can't work in a grocery store. I'd end up fucking squaring up with an old white lady that gets an attitude.
I won't go into my worst customer service story from when I worked in fast food. If that was all questions coming from the guy in front of me, I would probably have killed him. Just he was already talking terrible from the beginning, but if everything he said was a question after, because he had a big order, it was like one of those things.
Dude. I've been to that store that you work at. I don't understand like how on earth you did that for what, like a year and a half?
Yeah, a year and a half, 2 years. And
you were a drive-through, didn't you?
I was cashier, so I was in house. And I did do drive-through every once in a while, but for the most part, I did just front cashier most of the time. And I love the workers for all my coworkers and everything like that. It's just one of those things, but there's only so much you can take from customers a lot of the time. Yeah. It's just I'm done. I couldn't do it anymore.
I hope like if you still worked there and like I had like this question problem, I would drive up to the drive-through just to piss you off.
Oh yeah, and there are people who do this. Like you see the vines, or I guess the Twitter videos now, but there were the old vines of people messing with drive-through employees. Like the one I could think of is the dude who drives up. He goes, "Yo, it's my birthday. What can I get for free?" And the girl in the drive-through says, "Nothing." And he's like, "You a bitch!" Like loud as shit. Like for in defense, it is kind of funny, but there are people who go there and like try to make it as hard as possible.
People that troll people that work at fast food places deserve to be shot.
Oh,
it's fucking fast food.
You're right.
People working there do not love their life.
They're on suicide watch.
No, and there are only a select few people there who plan to stay there for a while, and one of them was not me. So, as soon as I had the opportunity to leave, I left. You know what I mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love working in a restaurant, but like,
right.
So I'm in a restaurant. I'm in the kitchen. I don't see a single customer's face the entire time because I would lose it if they started.
I bet that is glorious for you, Zach.
Oh my god, yes! All I got to do is make the food. I don't have to talk to anyone.
So I was never good at like, the whole cooking thing. Like I know how to do it and like go through all the stations that we had there, but I was better at the customer service thing, so that's why I was always put up front. Yeah. But I see exactly where you're coming from. Like it probably gets really hectic back there once the store gets busy. But for all intents and purposes, the only people you have to deal with are the people next to you. You don't have to deal with any customers out in the front. You don't have to deal with anything, and then maybe management yelling at you every once in a while.
Yeah,
but customers are a whole different breed.
I have the management now, so.
Oh yeah, you got the what are you getting in trouble for already?
I'm not getting in trouble. I'm the management.
Oh yeah, you are. That's right. You are the management now. That's right.
Yeah.
You did say that. Okay. I thought you said I had the management now, as if you had somebody yelling at you already. I was like, oh wait.
So Zach, like when you were a cook, like could you just like chill in the back and like just wear some headphones while you cook some food, or like you gotta like focus?
I mean, I blast music on my speaker.
Okay.
So they
everyone to hear.
You see where I worked at, they hated that. Like they were so against that happening. Like it was.
Dude, I wear headphones at work all the time.
No, they won't let us do that because it was one of the cross contamination hazard. Which holy crap! Like so, when I was there, the number one thing with the training of that was, don't cross contaminate, change your gloves. Which that's good stuff to know. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just funny that the amount of things that they keep saying, like, don't do this and don't do that. Like it was pounding head. Don't wear headphones. Don't like touch your phone afterwards. Don't have your phone in it or whatever. Like stupid things like that. Like, and it was just cross contamination was always the thing, and it became like a running joke.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's like this, like you don't like. I work at Jimmy John's. You don't necessarily have to like change your gloves after like every sandwich, but like I always change my gloves after like I touch something like tuna. Because, like, you know, you don't want to, like, touch tuna with, like, a different sandwich. That's just my thing.
Right, yeah. I mean, I change my gloves every time I touch raw chicken. Like,
I would, too.
It became habit. Like, if you touch raw stuff, change your gloves afterwards. Then the other thing they would have you do, so, like, where I worked, they had regular and spicy. And they were very, 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 very separated. They were still, like, in the same thing, but, like, the baskets were separated. You actually had, like, it was like a little slider door, like, for the different flour for breading those types of chicken. And you had to slide it over to get the other one. So it was like kind of like half of it was for the regular and half for the spicy. And you needed to switch your gloves. No questions asked. No excuses. You have to change your gloves in between using both of those things.
Yeah, that's just basic food policy at that point.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, I'm not hating on it. It's just always interesting. It became a joke of cross contamination, just like that. That's what they even called it, for not changing gloves between using spicy and regular chicken.
I just want to say, as someone who works in a restaurant, any restaurant that gets 100 on their health score, like, is just somewhere that's well liked by the health inspector, because that is not possible. Like, you can get a 99, but it is 100% not possible to get a like perfect score realistically, because it's a restaurant. Something is always going to be dirty. Like, that's the downfall of working in a restaurant.
It is. And
if you get bored or slow at work, there's always something to clean. Like,
and there's an acceptable level to it. What I never understood is at the restaurant I worked at, you walk through the kitchen, right? And first thing you see, all the breading stations and cooking stations, yada yada. And literally the trash room is a door away from the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, that seems like something that should be a problem, right? I mean,
right.
They had extra measures in there. Like, they had like the kind of, like when you walk through a door, they have like the air that shoots downward and it's supposed to kind of keep bugs out, kind of thing. Like, they had that in there, but like it just seemed weird to me that like they were all like, we have to make this thing as clean as possible. We have to swab down the drain and everything like that. But then, like, a trash room is a single door away from the full-fledged kitchen. It just seemed weird to me.
Nasty.
Tyler, well, really quick, I just want to say, Tyler, I know you've got to have at least, like, one good customer service story.
One? I got about 1 million.
I said at least.
There is crazy people in this world. I don't understand. Like, crackheads are just walking into fucking Staples at 24/7. I guess the one I'll say that I have, this happened probably 6 months ago. This guy came in, and I work at Staples. If you didn't
Was this before or after the whole meniscus thing?
This was between the first and the second meniscus tear. So There you go. So this guy walks in, and at Staples I work in, the office supplies section, which is just basically stocking the shelves and stuff like that. But I also, do the furniture, the desk and chairs. Like I'll sell that to people. And this one guy comes in, and he's, talking about how he's looking for this desk for his son. And he wants to get him this chair. And honestly, I kind of feel a little bad because I feel like it was one of those situations where he wanted his son to love him more, but he was saying about, he got him all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And he was like being really weird. And he was like asking me personal questions. He's like, he's talking, I honestly can't remember the whole conversation specifically, but I remember him saying something about his son's girlfriend's pussy smelling bad.
Wow.
Yeah, you heard that right. And
my fuck.
And he was talking about how he had broken up with his girlfriend, and he gave me an exact number of days. He was like, "Yeah, we've been broken up for like 281 days."
Jesus.
So that was him. Then I kind of just had to go along with the conversation. So we were talking about like going to Vegas or something. I don't really remember what I said. And that's fine though. He ended up not buying anything.
Of course he doesn't. Of course he doesn't.
So he was with me, by the way, for an hour. Like, and I could not get away from him. It was literally an hour. He goes outside. All of a sudden, like, I'm in the back of the store, and I see him come back in. I'm like, oh, here we fucking go. But no, he goes to our copy center, and talks to a girl who actually, Bobby, it was Crystal, somebody who used to go to school with. She don't work there anymore, but goes up to her, who is 20 years old, and this guy is in his 40s, 50s, and says, "You have beautiful eyes and you smell good."
Oh Jesus! No!
Stop!
Stop!
I mean, that's what I'm at. I mean, honestly, dude,
+-year-old man, there's only a certain level of compliments that you can give out to a younger girl.
Yeah.
Like, being friendly and you're fucking creepy, dude. Like,
yeah.
There's literally two modes, for compliments coming from old men. It's fucking creepy or friendly.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally every day there's something different. I mean, if it's us getting yelled at, or if it's just somebody being, it's just the nature of the beast.
If I do kind of want to tell mine real quick before, because I know we've spent a lot of time on this, but I do want to tell mine real quick because I just think it's one of the stupidest interactions with a human I've ever had in my life. Like, I might have told this story to you guys before, but I don't think I told it on the podcast. I was avoid saying it just for anonymous purposes, but I don't think it's bad. I used to work at Chick-fil-A is what we've been talking about for a while now, and was cool with my time being there, but no one stays in fast food forever. So I was working a Saturday as a cashier one day, right? So this guy comes up, and it's getting pretty busy. It's around lunchtime. So he comes up, and he's, I do my thing. I'm like, how you doing? What can I get for you? Kind of thing. So he goes, okay, I have a pretty big one for you. I'm like, all right. So he starts listing off things like, okay, I want a number 5, I want a number 3, number 7, et cetera, right? So he starts giving out all these meals to me. So I'm putting him in, no problem. I don't miss a beat on this one, right? So he gives me all this stuff, and then he's like, no, I think that's it. And I at one point, I told him what he got, right? Because part of the protocol was you have to read him back their order. I started listening to him what he had, right? So I forget what the exact total came out to, but I thought it was 38 something. So I said the total was 38 something. He goes, you see immediately the kid, his card, it was so somebody from theater school kind of thing, where he had he was holding his card up in the air like he was ready to use it. And as soon as I said the price, he dropped his shoulders and his hands landed on the table, exasperated type thing. And he's like, that's not right. I'm like, but sir, that's a total. And you got this, and this, right? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's what it is. He's like, but that's not right. What are you arguing here? I'm like, sir, that's what it is. And he goes, just go get your manager, please. I'm like, yeah, fine. So I'm like, hey, can you come help me with this customer, please? So what I haven't mentioned yet is that during him talking, at one point he just casually handed me 2 like free chicken sandwich coupons, right? Just free sandwich coupons. Here's the thing. Here's where this gets important, is because he did that without mentioning them. Like, he just handed them to me as he was still looking up at the menu. Like, nice. it was like he was doing a drug deal. Like, he was looking at something else and he was handing me the coupons. So he handed me the coupons and I put them in. So the way you put them in on our system was that it was you put them onto the order, but there's a button you hit for when there's a coupon, and then you put the coupons in the drawer. And then so that they can, if they ever need, when they do their bookkeeping, they can go look for those coupons, right? So, he does that, and he's still arguing the price with me. So my manager comes up, and she's like, okay, you had this, this, and this. Listen to the whole order again. He goes, yeah. And she goes, okay, so it's 38. And he's like, that's not right. So she finally realizes the situation I'm in, and she pulls out the drawer and she holds up the coupon. She's like, look, you got these, right? And he goes, oh no, I wasn't trying to use those. I was just trying to give them back to you guys because I don't want them.
Okay.
She's like, well, we don't do that. And she's like, and the same we always get is because there's a Chick-fil-A where I was working at, and there was another one 10 minutes away, right? And he's like, oh, the other one does. And I'm like, yeah, cool. We're not the other one. So we're like, go give them to somebody or just hold on to them. So we can give them back the coupons. But here's the thing: the price still never changed. All we did was take off 2 sandwiches. So she gives them back the coupons, and she leaves, and I'm like, it's still 38. and he's like, okay, swipes his card. That's it. I'm like, I'm going to the back for a second after that one, because I literally think I just dropped down to a 6th grade reading level. Like oh my God, I lost so many IQ points in that conversation.
Do you guys have like a scream pillow in the back where you can just like stuff your face in and just scream really loudly?
It's the freezer.
Oh, okay.
No, Chick-fil-A is just go in the back and pray and then come back.
I can't say that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know whoever came up with the slogan "the customer is always right" is a fucking dildo.
No, they're a fucking customer. That's what they are.
I heard that because I heard that from a manager, and I'm like, no management person has ever said that. Like, look, the customer's always right with how their experience is in a store, right? Like, if they come up to you and they say, look, we had a bad experience eating here. Okay, yeah, you're inclined to believe them because at the end of the day, that's who you're trying to impress. So if they say you have a bad experience, then it's a bad experience. But if they're coming up and saying like, oh yeah, the price wasn't right, and you check and it's right, like everything that you have and the information you have, the price is right. So in this case, like $38, right? It was $38. It never changed at any point for any reason. Even when we gave him back the fucking coupons, the price never fucking changed. So. Right. So I don't know why they argue this type of things. At that point, the customer is not right. Like, it happens. I understand why the slogan's there, but you cannot apply it to everything like that. I feel like that's common sense, but maybe sometimes it isn't.
This country needs to take its level of customer service and just tone it way the fuck down. Like, we need to stop fucking being nice to people all the time. It does not work.
You got the food out in 5 minutes instead of 2. Dude, it's a Chick-fil-A. What the hell do you want, man?
Dude, I've had people lose their minds because they got their appetizer. No, they got their food too quickly after they got their appetizer.
Dude,
I'm serious. There's real people out there that complain about that type of thing.
There are people who freak out like, oh, I ordered a lemonade and got an iced tea instead. Okay, all you have to do is come up and just give us the iced tea back, and I swear to God, I will get you your goddamn lemonade and say I'm sorry.
And a lot of times, like, okay, so like at Jimmy John's, like if I make a sandwich wrong, like I'll remake them like the new sandwich, but like I'll just be like, yeah, you can keep the old sandwich. That's fine. It's like I have no problem with that.
Right. That's what we end up doing because, like, so if we give a sandwich but it's the wrong one, we can't take it back. We're not going to put it on the goddamn, the rack again. So no, keep it, but we'll go get you the one you actually wanted. Like, it's really not hard. And I get it. Like, some people can be in a rush sometimes and that slows them down a little bit. Okay, I'm sorry, but so are we a lot of the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just, I don't understand the people who are so quick to be mean to the people giving them the food. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
This may be surprising, but like, humans work at restaurants, not robots.
Right. Robots will work at restaurants and
For free.
Yeah, for free at some point down the line, but we're not there yet. As of right now, you're talking to another human being. Like, just be nice. Tip your waiters. Be nice to the people who are giving you food. Trust me, they don't want to be there either most of the time.
Yeah, and a little tip here: they're touching your food, so you better be nice to them.
Yeah, seriously, I do not care if I get fired. I will hack a loogie in your fucking sandwich, and you will eat that son of a bitch, and I will laugh as you do so.
All right, well, let's move on from this.
I've never done that. By the way, I was a cashier. Remember?
All right, now we are going to move on to our quick picks for the week. Only a couple, not too much going on. First, we're going to talk about Joel Embiid having a little spat after the game the other night against the Celtics, where the Sixers lost 112-109. Joel was not happy. He said, well, you know what? I'll let Bobby play. He had this to say about a certain part of the game.
The referees suck.
and that's it. That was Joel Embiid.
My guy keeping it 97 plus 3, bro.
He then walked off the stage and left. I love Joel Embiid. I do. He does not. He's not afraid to speak his mind. And look, is he wrong? Like, the refs. It's been a whole topic this year about how the refs have been awful in the NBA.
It's not really even that. It's across all leagues. I just want to say.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, it has been bad.
Except the AAF, it's been good there.
Yeah, it's been great there.
We will get to that in a second.
The F.
American as fuck. That's what the AAF stands for.
So, I will say he did. I believe in the press conference he did say the Sixers were to blame as well. There was some things they could have fixed, but yeah, as he was walking out, he said the refs fucking suck. And this is just the most Joel Embiid thing ever. I love him, man. I love that he's in Philly. Yeah. I love players that can just speak their mind and don't care about the consequences. Those are the best kind of players.
Those are the good players. I mean, he's been just so funny at the pressers.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal was that type of person. Like, whenever he was pissed, like, he had no filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Joel Embiid got fined $25,000 for it, which is basically a nickel to him. But yeah, I mean, it's just something I want to bring up. It's just it's such a funny clip.
It's
and like
funny.
the way he talks to his accent and his deep voice, like, the ref fucking suck.
The referees fucking suck.
I love him, man.
It was funny. So you mentioned Shaquille O'Neal. I found a clip where he was on the MTV show Wild 'N Out, basically the show based around just all rap battles.
Oh yeah.
So at one point he steps up to Nick Cannon. And Nick Cannon, for those who don't know, divorced Mariah Carey a couple years ago. And Shaquille O'Neal came up, and I wish I had the clip of it because you have to hear it in the voice. The voice just makes it that much better. And he goes at one point, he goes, "You wasn't the only one making Mariah hit those high notes." Like, fucking, like in total Shaquille fashion. You guys gotta go find that.
Yeah, he's got such a deep voice. That's
oh my god, and he's also towering over Nick Cannon, which is makes it just so much better.
But yeah, I kind of just wanted to mention that. But the other NBA news we do have, it happened last week, but obviously we did not record the podcast last week. Was the NBA trade deadline? A lot of moves, and maybe the biggest thing was Anthony Davis not getting traded. We did talk about that on the last podcast we did record. That was the big thing going into the deadline. He did not get traded. And then, as I was having technical difficulties recording the show, breaking news did come through. That
Wait.
Breaking news.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Breaking news that the Pelicans owner, not the owner, the GM did get fired for, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's for the lack of trading a guy who's not going to sign this summer or what, but he's out. So yeah, that might have been the biggest thing. But a couple of other actual moves that were made. Markelle Fultz got dealt to the Orlando Magic. As a Sixers fan, I think it was one of those cases and you guys can agree or disagree here. Like, it was just one of those cases where they couldn't wait for Markelle Fultz. They have their big four now, with Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Embiid, and Simmons. And they just couldn't wait for this guy to blossom. They need, one success now. So they get rid of him. I don't know. That was always my take on it.
Yeah, I will say, like, him being traded at all isn't really a surprise to me, because I remember, like, maybe the day or two before the deadline, I heard rumors that he was actually, like, might get traded to the Hawks, and that was from Woj. So I'm not surprised that he's traded. And quite honestly, him going to the Magic, like, I think is actually probably like one of the best places for him. And in return, the Sixers got Jonathan Simmons, a 2020 first round pick that's top 20 protected, and a 2019 second. So, not the best trade, I would say, but I mean, I definitely think the Sixers are probably happy to receive anything for a guy that probably didn't fit in their system.
Yeah, it's just, with all the problems that were well documented about his shoulder and that being fucked up and stuff like that, it's just like, they got, I mean, the other trade I'm going to talk about real quick was Tobias Harris coming to the Sixers. And that was a big trade. I mean, they gave up a lot for that, and we all know how good sorry, Jesus Christ, the Warriors are. But you know what? It looks like they're ready to try to cement themselves as the best team in the East.
I will say, like, Elton Brand has done like a really good job so far as GM.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. It's just so weird because, like, literally, it was only a few years ago the Sixers were in the basement of the league, and we're just the laughing stock of the NBA, and they finally grew. But in that deal for Tobias Harris, the Sixers got Harris and Boban. Harris, Boban, and Mike Scott in exchange for Wilson Chandler, Landry Shamet, Mike Muscala, and like
former Hawk.
Yeah. And 4 draft picks, 2 of them being first-round picks, and then 2 being second-round picks. They gave up a lot, but
I just want to say, for you and Bobby, Sam Hinkie died for your sins.
I know. Look, I mean, it's nice, they made the move to get Jimmy Butler. And look, I mean, the obvious thing about this is that, who they're going to be able to keep for years to come. But look, they're putting a really good team together right now. And I like what they're doing. I think, like I said, with Fultz, it's unfortunate that your number 1 pick didn't work out, but they cut their losses early, see if they can get something out of that, add some depth for this season, and kind of see what happens.
So I will say, like, a couple years ago, like with the Sixers, like, I legitimately thought they were trying to be the first team in NBA history to start 5 centers. Like that, like I was like, what the hell are they doing?
I remember that because I was like, this is when they had like Nerlens Noel and they had gotten Embiid, and I'm like, all right, somebody's got to play point guard. Like, you know,
and it ain't gonna be Michael Carter Williams.
Yeah. Oh my god, I forgot about him too. Jesus, they had some fucking high draft picks that didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, it's just. I like I said, I like the move. I like that they're trying to do something. Another notable move was Marc Gasol to the Toronto Raptors, which Marc Gasol has always been one of the more underrated players in the league for me. I mean, he was playing on fucking Memphis, who's sucked the past few years, or really 2 years, but
probably an MVP candidate like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean he's really good now. I mean they did give up a little before. I think they gave up Valanciunas. The Raptors did, but Yeah, I mean, you're. It's the. I'll say this: the top teams in the East look like they're trying to load up. They're trying to, do what they need to do to get to the finals. You have the Sixers and the Raptors, and the Bucks didn't really do anything, but they got their team there. The Celtics stayed quiet, although they were in rumors. So teams are trying to do what they can, but
Yeah, the Bucks got Mirotic, by the way.
oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna say I thought they did something. Yeah.
Yeah, they traded Stanley Johnson and Jason Smith for Mirotic, which was a really good trade for them.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's basically having a career year with the Pelicans. So I think, if he can find a spot on the team, like that's like a perfect trade for him, or not for him, but for the team.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought that was like I said, I always liked Marcus. I always thought he was a good player. And kind of see, I'm kind of just scrolling through the other ones. I'm trying to see. I know my namesake Tyler Johnson got traded. The one that I did want to talk about because I don't know how much sense this made. The Sacramento Kings acquire Harrison Barnes for Zach Randolph and Justin Jackson. And look, I mean, Harrison Barnes is a good player and all, but the Kings are not even close to being a contender. Why are you trading Justin Jackson, who, he might not be the best prospect ever, but he is a young prospect? I didn't get that.
So that's where I like kind of disagree with you. I'll say this is actually a really good trade for the Kings because like really I think they're building a solid team with Harrison Barnes, Darren Fox, Buddy Hield, Marvin Bagley. Like that's a pretty solid four, and like they got to decide Willie Cauley-Stein if he's their guy for the 5 spot. But I have to say, like the Kings, like with their Harrison Barnes trade, like I feel like they're closer. They're getting there. I feel like we've been saying that for the past couple of years, but like they've had they have a pretty solid core now, and it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens with Willie Cauley-Stein in like the upcoming draft.
Yeah.
So I'll have to say this is okay. I will say it's a good trade for both teams, but especially Sacramento.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Harrison Barnes is a good player. It's just like I just have this stigma about the NBA that nobody can beat the Warriors. So why are you trying? But I don't. Obviously you can't look like that. The other
I doubt they would have, or excuse me, I doubt they wouldn't have traded for Harrison Barnes if they didn't believe he was going to like stay with them for an extended period of time, though.
Yeah, right.
Because I believe he signed. I don't know if he has any player options, but I think he's still on the Kings after this season.
I believe.
I think he has one more year on his contract.
So
obviously they got to worry about that then. But like I have a if the Kings end up still having a solid core, then he might stick around.
Yeah, he has one more year remaining. Well, I'm sorry, he has 2 years remaining, one after this. So yeah, he will be back with them next year. The last one I did want to mention really quick was like the other kind of sort of big trade was the trade between the Washington Wizards and the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls get Otto Porter Jr. in exchange for former. Was he a first? Jabari Parker, was he a first overall pick?
He was second overall. I believe
yeah.
he went behind Andrew Wiggins, was it?
Oh, yeah, I think you're right, yeah. Yeah,
so don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
The Wizards get back Jabari Parker, Bobby Portis, and a 2023 second-round pick for Otto Porter. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, Jabari Parker has, had some injuries.
Just interrupting really quick. Yeah, he was drafted second overall in between Wiggins and Embiid.
Gotcha. Okay. Damn. The Sixers got lucky there. Yeah, so they get sent over. I mean, it's a shame because Jabari Parker seemed to have all the athletics that, he was athletic and had everything needed, but, the knee injury really kind of fucked him over and just never kind of lived up to what he was supposed to be. But That's the quick wrap up for NBA trade deadline. Like I said, we missed it last week because we did not record last week. But something I just kind of wanted to touch on real quick. And our last quick pick of the week, something that has gone on. If you're a hockey fan, has gone under the radar. Or I'm sorry, if you're a hockey fan, it's a pretty big deal. If casual hockey fan, it's kind of probably gone under the radar. The New York Islanders obviously lost their best player and John Tavares in the offseason. And, everybody was saying that they're going to be this terrible team and, they don't have a chance, whatever the case may be. Well, they have come out and proved everybody wrong. Maybe they'd be a mid-level team. No, they're the sixth best team in the NHL right now. It makes absolutely no sense. They lose their best player and then get better. But I just want to touch on this real quick because there is one particular point I want to make. Last year, the New York Islanders had the worst goals against average in the league. And to be honest, it wasn't even close. So their goals against average last year per game was 3.57. The next closest team was Ottawa at 3.46. And that's a big jump right there. This year is a completely different story. The season, so in the off season they make an acquisition of Robin Lehner, and everybody's like, oh well, that's that's I guess a good signing, whatever. Like he'll just be this sort of good goalie, but the year he's having has made them go from worst to first in goals against average. Robin Lehner is also an interesting story because he came out over the offseason and said he was dealing with some mental issues and kind of came out and talked about it. And he's here now, and his stats are incredible. He's got 2.08 goals against average this year with a 9.929 save percentage, and has been really just a great player this year. Bobby, you're a Flyers fan, and the Islanders being in the Metro. I mean, nobody's seen this coming, but
no,
what do you make of this? Like, as a Flyers fan, it might be a little frustrating. I mean, I know you guys aren't having a good season, but for any Metro team, like, you feel like the Islanders aren't going to take a playoff spot, and they are. It's got to be a little frustrating.
It's beyond frustrating to me just for the simple fact that the teams that have always been top metropolitan or at least have been Washington, Pittsburgh, and now Columbus has been on a run, and then here comes the Islanders.
Yeah.
And then Philly is usually ending up in a wild card spot. Yeah, sometimes they'll get the third metropolitan, but a lot of times they have to be Philly and put on a grand show, right? And put and fight for a wild card near the end. But no, the Islanders are something I did not see coming. It's very frustrating. Now, I'm not gonna be too frustrated at them just because the Flyers have been a train wreck this season. I mean, they're doing good, and they're, believe it or not, 8 points out of a wild card spot with a little over 20 games left. So, I can't blame the Islanders for us fighting for a playoff spot. We're doing that to ourselves. But no, you're right. I did not see the Islanders coming by any means. I what I should have done is looked back at the NHL preview and see what we said about him, because I'm sure we were not very high on this team.
I think I had them finishing third. I think I had them finishing second to last in the league. Like before Ottawa.
Right. Yeah. Well, they were on that caliber and they lose JT, but I guess what we didn't realize is that Trotz is literally the best coach of all time. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's so they get Barry Trotz, but it's just so interesting because last year they were a great scoring team. They didn't have a problem scoring. They couldn't keep a puck out of the net.
Right.
This year it's the exact opposite. They they got the best goals against average in the league, but their goal is 4. They're bottom 10 in goals 4. They're number 21. So it's crazy.
So I'm looking at their top goal scorers because I mean obviously there's got to be something happening on that front. Matthew Barzal is his second year in the league. If if I'm looking at his race, it's his second year in the league. So he was good last year. He's good this year. He had 85 points last year in total, and he has 49. So I think he might be a little under pace or might be right on target, but I mean he's still lighting the lamp. Josh Bailey's at the top, right? Is right below him in terms of points. He again, he had a career season last year with 71 points compared to, and he's actually a little bit down than where he should be. But and then besides that, you got Andersley, Brock Nelson. So the talent has been there, right? I mean, these guys have been there, and they've maybe been overshadowed by JT. I really have reason to believe that Trotz is the reason for this. I mean, he knew what to do with the talent that he had, and he just put him on a system that's going to make him like the lamp a little more. So
it's crazy. I mean, sorry, I'm like looking at these stats, and I'm like, how are they like? Their point getters are like not even close. Like your leading point getter doesn't even have 50 points. Like it's great. I mean, it's just the
wealth is very distributed.
Yeah, I mean that's true too.
I mean, you got to score just as much as you got to save, and we've talked about Vegas and how you and me at least seem to believe that team was not really a team of goal scorers. That was a second line full team with Marc-Andre Fleury. That's what that was. And I think we're seeing a similar situation, but it's you can't say that the Islanders don't have some goal scorers. I mean, like I said, Matthew Barzal and Josh Bailey have been lighting a lamp. But yeah, Robin Lehner. So he's got 2.08 goals against average in a 9.929 save percentage with 3 shutouts, and then you have I can never say his name right. It's Greiss.
Thomas Greiss. Yeah,
Greiss. I can never say his last name right. And who's got a 2.20 goals against with a 930 save percentage. I mean, you have two goalies who like are literally doing the same thing. You put them in, you're looking at the same guy. I mean, they're doing the same things in net. They have just about the same. They had the same wins. Bryce has one less loss. Like it.
Yeah. I mean, they're splitting the time, but I mean, it's just crazy because, like I said, I mean, the Robin Lehner was a highly touted goalie prospect a few years ago out of Ottawa's system. He gets traded to Buffalo. Everybody kind of knows him because of his, quote unquote anger issues, but it comes out that he really has, some issues. Came out, kind of spoke his mind, and he's having a career year. It's really good to see.
It's funny how a winning team makes you a little less mad, huh?
Yeah, really.
Being on a team like the Islanders this year, like I'm saying, a team like the Islanders. That term meant so little.
I know.
Like 5 months ago.
I know. It's crazy. I mean, look, I'm happy for him because a lot of people are. Well, I'm looking at it from the other perspective, and I might be a little salty because the Sharks didn't get JT, but he kind of left. And look, it was on his own accord. He gave them everything he needed to. I mean, look, he played his heart out and stuff like that. But obviously, they're still a little salty. But gotta tell you, it would be something if we seen like a Toronto, New York Islanders playoff series this year.
Oh my God,
that would be
something else. And look. I don't get the people who are burning the JT jerseys. I mean, they do want to go home, and there was but you do have to think about though, like what if JT stayed with this team now with Barry Trotz?
Yeah.
Oh, this team would probably be even better than they already are. Like Jesus, man.
Crazy. It honestly is crazy. I mean, I'm looking at the league stats right now, and it just doesn't make sense.
Can we read some of this off real quick? So let's look at the Islanders real quick. So we're looking at the top of the Eastern Conference. Top of the Metropolitan, we get the Islanders with 34, 17, and 6 with 74 points. And then you have Washington with 71 and Columbus in third in the Metro with 67. Looking at the rest of the Eastern Conference, top of the Atlantic right now is Tampa Bay, and they got 90 points. Okay, Tampa Bay is being Tampa Bay, but the Islanders are, for all intents and purposes, second or third in the Eastern Conference here. Toronto's got 75. But they're on and off second, third in the Eastern Conference. They're deadly. They're on top of the Capitals by a couple of games at this point. So, I see them making unless they completely blow up in the next 20 games. They're in the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see how let me try that again. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be in a playoff series. Is it going to be one of those teams where they, are top level team in the regular season, but choke in the first round, kind of similar to Capitals caliber, where President's Trophy winners die in the first or second round for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So, because it's gonna be interesting. We'll see if they're ready, but I mean, it's Barry Trotz, like I said, so he'll get his team ready if he has to.
It's so hard to believe. I mean, if you told me like last year at this, or like in the off season that at this time of the year that they'd be here, I would not believe you. I mean,
you told me in September.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I'm looking at their stats. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's funny because like it's kind of one way or the other because the Sharks this year, they're a team that can score as basically at will, but they can't keep a puck out of their net.
No.
And they're doing well, and then the Islanders are different. They can't score as much, but they're doing a really good job defensively. So, we'll and wrap it up there. But yeah, I just needed to make mention of the New York Islanders because what a year, and like with all the shit going on there with John Tavares, good for them. They're coming at fire.
Excuse me, just 1 second.
Okay, here we go.
Fuck the Metro.
They're gonna do the echo thing. Anyway, let's move on to our first big topic, which man, this has got to be a breath of fresh air for everybody here. The as Bobby calls it, the double AF or the AAF or whatever you want to call it.
It's like a fucking meme. The double AF.
The Alliance of American Football.
The football is fuck league.
The football is fuck league.
So I'm not gonna lie. The first time I heard about this league was after the NFC Championship game because Drew Brees was wearing a polo with the logo on it. Before that, I did not know this was happening.
No,
but I'm glad that I watched the highlights from the week one, and it looks fun as hell. Basically, if you don't know what the Alliance of American Football is, it's kind of like a I don't know how
it's another football league. It's similar to how the it's not the minors. It's not like a farm system or anything like that. It's just another league.
Yeah, it's another professional league,
right?
And it's very interesting because we're seeing a lot of guys from the NFL who maybe didn't cut it there. Are now here. And
the rejects.
The rejects for sure. And but look, maybe this is what they need to like show that they still got it. There is let's see, there's 8 teams in the league. We got these teams are funny too, the names. The Arizona Hotshots, the Atlanta Legends, the Birmingham Iron, the Memphis Express, Orlando Apollos, Salt Lake Stallions, San Antonio Commanders, and the San Diego Fleet. Their jerseys are also kind of sick too. For that's one thing I did notice. Like their jerseys for these teams, like it's like I don't know if you guys have ever played like the recent Madden games, but like being able to like make the jerseys. For your team, like it just seems like one of those things. But
the ref uniforms look terrible though.
I
do not like them.
Those I can agree with.
They suck. Oh my god.
So I know Brendy, you watched the highlights. I don't know if Bobby or Zach watched highlights. I know
I saw a few.
Brendy put in the chat that monster hit on the quarterback.
Oh my fucking god, dude! That hit was brutal.
Yeah.
And wait. Here's the funny thing. Hey guys, there wasn't a flag on the play.
I know.
What the fuck is happening?
Yo, if that's in the NFL, that guy gets suspended for the rest of the season.
Even
that's just what it feels like.
That was a clean hit, though.
Oh yeah, his helmet just went flying. But
right, yeah, the hit was hard, but it wasn't helmet to helmet. The guy didn't really. I don't think he bowed his head. He just straight up just fucking technical football tackle. It was just monster.
Oh yeah,
it was
clean as fuck. Clean as fuck.
Roger Goodell would have sent someone the electric chair for that.
Yeah, I
actually think when that play happened and there was no flag on the field, that even though he probably wasn't even watching, he had a heart palpitation wherever he was. Like,
it kind of reminds me of that one Jadeveon Clowney hit back from college.
That they almost threw him out of the game for.
No, I'm trying to. I think that was the Outback Bowl, I believe. Fucking nobody wanted to block him, and I don't know. I can't remember who the Michigan running back was at that time, but rest in peace.
Yeah, he did. He dead.
He dead. But yeah, the Alliance of American Football. It's a 10-week season, and it began February 9th, and it's every weekend. CBS broadcast it. I think TNT was broadcasting it. NFL Network.
For some reason, True TV, as it is like the NCAA.
Yeah. I know. I love those. It's like what? Okay.
Like, True TV.
Yeah, I know.
Which at this point you're only known for 2 series: the World's Dumbest and damn it,
Well, they do
why
the
not?
NCAA basketball tournament too.
Yeah, I know. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I don't think they broadcast at AAF, but TNT was surprising me. I was making a joke about True TV with the NCAA.
Yeah.
What? Oh, and
You'll
what's
get
the
it
name
out
of that
eventually.
series? Yeah, hold on. Yeah, just go on. Keep
Are
going.
you talking about not on
Practical Jokers. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about. And
Okay,
Practical
yeah.
Jokers and World's Dumbest is the only thing True TV are known for.
Yeah. But I want to go through some of the names because, like we said, a lot of the NFL, quote unquote NFL rejects are here. For Brendy's Atlanta Legends, who I'm sure he's read up on and is
Huge
very familiar
fan.
with. You got quarterback Aaron Murray there, Matt Sims, some guys there. I'm kind of just going to go through the list. The Birmingham Iron, Blake Sims, Scott Tolzien, Trent Richardson, who's probably the one of the most interesting names because a guy who was supposed to be was a high pick and had a lot of high hopes. He's out of the league and in this now. Nick Novak, who I believe was kicking for San Diego, literally for the LA Chargers, literally at the end of the season. You got for the Memphis Express, Christian Oh my God, I can't.
You can't fucking talk today, dude.
I don't feel good, and my
Slow
throat
down.
is like.
Think about it.
My throat is just like killing me. Christian Hackenberg, Zach Mettenberger, Zach Stacy, Chris Givens, all former players there. Matt Asiata, who used to play he was a fantasy gem for the Minnesota Vikings a few years ago. Bishop Sankey, Josh Jackson, who was literally just the Redskins quarterback at the end of the season. So, 10-week schedule. The regular season will end Sunday, April 14th. But yeah, man, it's just refreshing. Like I said, I watched the highlights and it's, I'm not going to say it's the fucking NFL talent wise, but being able to actually hit a quarterback and not getting a flag, it was just so nice.
It's already more entertaining right there.
Like literally, that's so sad to say. Like that's the reason, but it really is. I mean, look, I know Goodell is trying to protect the players and whatever, but it's gotten out of hand, and being able to actually see regular football, it's nice. It really is nice.
Yeah, he can protect the players, but he couldn't give two shits about the players' wives and girls.
Oh yeah. Isn't that funny though?
Yeah, that's you're totally
True.
right.
Yeah, tell me I'm wrong? Like honestly,
You're not. I mean, honestly, but I.
Well, can
like
we?
I said-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say. I mean, like like I said, I didn't know about this until the end of the NFC Championship game. I had no clue this was a thing, but I don't know. I might definitely have to tune in. It was pretty like watching the highlights. It was pretty entertaining.
Well, can we talk about some of the rules real quick? I have a list of them here. About there's a lot of interesting stuff here.
Yeah, go ahead. I forgot about those actually.
So the reason why the other reason why AAF is making a lot of noise is because of all the different rules, and some of them are what the we've talked about on the show numerous times, and what many people have talked about for changing in the NFL. So the big one, and one of the big ones, is that there's no kickoffs. And this is probably the weirdest one. There's no kickoffs. The teams simply start at their own 25-yard line. And it goes on to say, this is from Bleacher Report, by the way. It goes on to say how the kickoffs are really dangerous. One of the dangerous plays in football just because of everybody running at high speed down the field and hitting somebody. So they've taken that away. And this apparently also removes the possibility of onside kicks. But there is an alternative for a team trailing by 17 or more points in the final 5 minutes. After a touchdown, a team can attempt a 4th and 12 play from its own 28-yard line. So if they reach the 40, they keep the ball. If not, the ball goes to the other team. So apparently if you're trailing by 17 or more, you have that option.
17 or more. But like, what if you're like just down by a touchdown? Do you just have to hope to turn it out, like get a turnover?
Yeah, so at that point, your defense has to turn up. But if you're down 17 or more...
or I guess it'd be 8. It wouldn't be 7 because you have to go for 2. Right.
Well, yeah, and I'll get that. So, so 17 or more points. If you're down by more than 17, you have the option after a touchdown to run that 4th and 12 play and get the ball and keep the ball. And so as Brendy just mentioned, extra points. There is not a extra point. It is always 2-point conversions. No kicks. You have to go for 2-point conversions. If you miss it, you miss it. If not, there you go. You get 2 points. That's it. That's really all there is to there.
It is weird, like looking at the final scores for the first week. 'Cause it's not like 7, 14, 21. It's like 40, 15. Like it's weird numbers.
Right. So overtime. This gets fun. Ready for this? All right. This is fun just because of what it is in the NFL. Like in college football, both teams will get a chance to score in overtime in WF. Unlike college, overtime will not last forever. Each team will get the ball at the 10-yard line with a chance to score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. If the two sides are tied at the end of one session, the game ends in a tie. So that's what that is.
Yeah.
I like this one. Sky Judge. There's a 9th official who is sitting in the press box in any WAF game and can apparently call penalties or tell the referee to pick the flag back up after a penalty.
That's
so he's
good.
basically the booth, like going upstairs.
If it's quick, I like it. Like if it's something that they can do very quick, that's a good idea.
It goes on to say the official will mostly be used to assess safety-related calls, including helmet-to-helmet or blindsides that are missed. But the person will also get a chance to rule on pass interference calls in the final 5 minutes of a game. Okay, so then, you look back at what happened with the Saints. Yep, exactly.
An NFC championship game doesn't happen.
Yeah. All right, and I love this. So stricter defensive rules, and of course the picture of it is the huge hit that we were talking about earlier. So there's apparently amongst the biggest changes to on-field play are the limitations on rushing the passer. No more than 5 players can rush on a single play. Players also aren't allowed to blitz for more than 2 yards outside the defensive line or from 5 yards back of the line of scrimmage. Finally, players lined up at the line of scrimmage count as rushers, regardless of whether or not they go after the quarterback. Any violation of these rules will result in a 15-yard penalty for illegal defense. This makes it safer for quarterbacks and likely give them more time in the pocket, which could create better offensive action. On the other hand, defensive coaches could have a tough time being creative enough to stop quarterbacks around the league.
Yeah, I was going to say, because basically what that limits is, like, you can't throw guys up at the line of scrimmage and then drop them back in the coverage because, like, you can't disguise blitzes, essentially. Like, the quarterback knows what's coming. So,
so I wonder if they're gonna, there's some stuff to work out, and that out of all the rules I've read, these seem like the ones that they're probably gonna have to work out the kinks for. But that this is apparently to protect the quarterback more than anything else. So there's still, we talk all the time about the NFL protecting the players. So this league is protecting its players. It's just probably not doing it in the strict fashion the NFL has done in recent years. But it's an inaugural season. The play was good. From everything that I've seen so far, I might have to tune in this week and see if I can catch a game or two and see what it really is all about. But for all intents and purposes, most of these rules sound pretty reasonable. I mean, I have really no objections to really any of these. The defensive rules are a little weird, but it seems like they're letting things happen, they're letting hits happen, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it was just a breath of fresh air to actually see. But yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'll probably be tuning in this week and kind of see
the next round of games. By the way, the next round of games, by the way, is this Sunday, or at least the legend. I know the Legends are playing. I don't know about.
I think there is a game. I think there's games Saturday and Sunday, but
I was going to say they're like Saturday and Sunday games. I know Atlanta's Sunday, and like I'm just like it's funny too because I was watching the Week 1 AAF game with the Atlanta Legends, and like I had it like on in the living room. I was like, all right, I'm going to see what this league's all about. But like while we were doing that, I was basically like setting up a new bed that Rachel May bought, and we had to get some help like from some coworkers, and like they walk in and like the first thing they see is the Alliance of American Football, and they're like, "Wow, people actually watch this trash league." And like in my head, I'm just like, "Dude, like, have you seen the highlights?" It's like, it like just the AAF could be just summed up in like that one hit that one clip I posted with, I think it was San Antonio or San Diego.
Yeah, it was that game, yeah.
So they're also talking. I've seen some talk also with the AAF about how the question has come up of whether or not to make that a minor league kind of to the NFL.
Yeah, like
I
a
don't
farm system.
Right. I doubt it, but I guess, do you guys like the concept, or do you like the idea of this league being independent? Because here's the thing, in terms of hockey, right, and how that farm system works, there are different rules among each of the league, right?
Yeah.
Each league does have differences in certain rule aspects, but for the most part, the game's the same. And AAF, you're looking at pretty stark contrast in the rules, like the 2-point conversions, the no kickoffs, everything like that. So I would think that if for whatever reason the farm system thing happens, right, and the AAF becomes the farm system to the NFL, they're going to have to change those rules back to what natural football is.
But that's a problem. The other problem is, I mean, if you have a farm system, you really need one for every team, and I just don't know if there's that demand there. I mean, I know there's a lot of college guys that might that can't crack the NFL that end up going there, but I don't know. I mean, it sounds dumb. I'm sure you can fill enough spots. That's not the problem. It's filling all those spots with enough talent.
I would think
actually
though
keeping competitive.
I would think though that, like, you talk about the demand for it, right? But like, here's the thing. I mean, there's football stadiums in every state, basically. I mean, like, you could have them use the college fields, even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think I forget what team it is. It might be Orlando. Like, I think they use a field that, like, I think they use the Pro Bowl field, actually. I might be wrong about that, but the NFL Pro Bowl field that they use, I think that's their home stadium. I might be wrong about that, but
Atlanta uses the I believe the Georgia State Stadium.
Is that what they use?
Okay. Which it's basically former Turner Field.
Okay.
Right. So, I like I said, I think it's not a problem, but like I said, just being able to get enough guys to keep it competitive and keep it entertaining. I think that's the most part. For right now, what they need to focus on is keeping it entertaining and keeping it different, a little bit different, at least from the NFL, and giving, some relief, I guess, for what we witnessed in the NFL this year with all that bullshit. So
this is good for the diehard football fans who miss football in the offseason. It's something to, and look, you don't have to love it or hate more than the NFL or anything like that. But if you're a diehard, I heard that. I think someone knocked on his door again. That's twice. Anyway. You don't have to love it more than the NFL or anything like that, but I mean, it'll definitely fill the void that you're going to have for a while, and maybe open up some new ideas to you, in the recent discussions about the NFL, such as the no kickoffs. I know that's been a big one around the NFL, something that they've considered or people have talked about the NFL doing, and now you see it in action now. So you now get to see how that affects the game. So at the same time of you being able to fill the void of, off season and everything else, because sometimes it can get a little boring. You can still now watch a game and keep your mind open to these ideas and see if they work or not. And if you don't like them at all, then hell, at least you looked at it as it is in action. And, I'm excited for this. I don't know how closely I'm going to follow. I mean, our area, I don't believe has a team at the moment.
No.
So I don't know if I'm going to pick a team, but whenever I can, I'll probably tune in and catch a game or two. Just I do definitely want to see some of these rules in action. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm very optimistic about this league, and I'm also glad that just on a general perspective that there's now another route right now for playing professional football, right? Instead of this kind of college, high school, college, NFL type of thing. Competition's always good. Right. So a competition is always good for business. So if the AAF can get some numbers and draw in the fans and draw in some unique viewership and make some noise this season, then the NFL is going to have to pick up their game. They're going to force their hand a little bit, or people are going to start flocking because people are already boycotting the NFL for various different reasons. A lot of it around domestic violence stuff and stuff like that. So it's just going to be interesting to watch. I think in general this is going to be a good thing.
Yeah, I know, I mean, the big story, and I'm not going to get into this because this creates a whole nother topic, but Colin Kaepernick was approached by the AAF and said, I'm not going to play for any less than like $20 million or something like that. but I mean, they've approached him. I heard Tim Tebow was approached. Like, they're trying to get players there, so it's good to see. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like, if anything, it's just another. The NFL season ends, and now this happens, so it's kind of cool. If anything else, but yeah, looking forward to it. But now we will move on to In Case You Missed It.
All right, boys. So, in case you missed it this week, I'm a little upset about this story because it was kind of a part of my childhood. This story actually broke like right after we finished recording the last podcast, but I really wanted to include it, so I figured in case you missed it would be the best part. So, you guys may have heard of the company, probably from YouTube, known as Machinima.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yep. So Machinima, if you don't know anything about Machinima, they're basically they were one of like the first they were one of the first companies that gamers could get partnered with on YouTube. And the kind of content they made were like, video game stuff, kind of like movie cinemas involving video games, stuff like that. They were basically the first gaming company on YouTube. Well, you may not have heard of them for the past couple of years, though, because they've had a bunch of layoffs. The content hasn't been as good. Well, it's just been announced a couple weeks ago that Machinima is basically shutting down its doors temporarily. Now, they do have one saving grace. They are being bought by a company known as Otter Media. But basically since early 2017, it's been a complete downward spiral for them when they hired a new GM whose name is Russell Aarons. So Machinima is being brought by Otter Media and is now being fully owned by AT&T as well. But it looks like this is the end of the line for Machinima, which is a shame because Machinima has brought a bunch of unique gaming content in the past few years. So, Bobby, I'm specifically curious about your take. I want to know what you think about this.
And for those who really are not familiar with Machinima, if you are at all a video game fan and you have looked up, some of the huge video game personalities who are still around today, Cnanners, Shibby, all these guys have started with Machinima. They are. I would credit Machinima for being one of the big reasons why the gaming in YouTube is a thing and a living nowadays. I would really attribute Machinima for that.
Really quick, I just want to interrupt. You brought up like Cnanners, like that was like basically the big three of Machinima right there was Ark, Hutch, and Cnanners.
Yeah,
like, they were the face of Machinima. They got their careers because of Machinima.
Right. Yeah, and all of those people are still around today. I think they're a huge reason why the gaming YouTube base exists and still exists to this day, and as continued to grow over the years. And yeah, like you said earlier, it's been quite a long time since I've really heard anything out of them. Simply due to the fact that, like you said, their content hasn't really been as good or anything like that, but a lot of the gamers have kind of grown from the tree and left. I used to watch their show ETC. That was the most recent show that I've watched, but that's been off Machinima for a couple of years now, I think, because I used to watch that during my breaks when back in high school for work.
Right.
It's just a shame to see. I mean, I kind of figured it was gone anyway. I mean, I knew it was still around, but still clinging on to dead air at this point. But they have a huge legacy behind them. What I don't get about this whole thing is that, and correct me if I'm wrong since then, but they've since cleared their channel.
I'm not sure. Have they?
From what I understand, they've cleared their channel, which to me is the stupidest thing about this. Because now all the classic videos, all the classic personalities, they're all gone. That history's all gone. Hex, Optic Hex was tweeting and talking about this for a little bit, ranting about how they cleared the videos because they shouldn't have done that. I mean, maybe they didn't have a choice when the buyout happened. Maybe that's what it is. But that's what really sucks is that the legacy that Machinima had is now really gone. Like it's all gone, which is what really sucks about this whole story.
And a few years ago, one of the biggest news stories in the gaming world, like back when Machinima like was still creating like good content and they were still doing well, they had a very bad problem. They were laying off a bunch of people. Like they were the people that weren't laying off, that they were not laying off were essentially getting pay cuts.
Yeah.
And that basically caused it caused like a few stories to come about like how badly Machinima treats, their partners and their directors. One notably that you probably have not heard of in a long time, X-Jaws.
He was one of my favorites.
Man, the X-Jaws, man. He's not doing anything on YouTube anymore, but he's like he owns like a couple like social media companies now, like social media marketing companies now, and he went nuts for a period of time. I don't know if anybody remembers this when he just went completely off the rails.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was on hardcore drugs too.
He made one video that I remember about it, and it was him talking about Adderall because of his ADHD. But man, that was Jesus, what a weird time that was too.
My boy X-Jaws taking more than Adderall.
I remember like a video of him. I don't know why I remember this one, but he had like a 70+ kill game on MW2 Afghan with like an RPD. Good memory.
That brings up a point about using Adderall in gaming too, because
this has become a problem in esports right now. Is Adderall?
Yeah, and their drugs it's considered a PED in gaming. So
yeah, this is the problem, and this could be a topic for another show about it because this has become a more and more of a problem as esports has continued to grow and get bigger, and especially since esports is now projected to hit $1 billion in revenue this year for the first time ever, and projected to hit $2 billion within the next 4 or 5 years. It's becoming a problem, and it's going to be something we're going to have to talk about eventually. But yeah, he went downhill so fast. It was so weird, weird.
And it's a shame, a bunch of it didn't work out for him, but for someone like CNanners who his career is only getting better and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking on Machinima's channel now. They don't have any videos uploaded, and it looks like they only have one video that's even liked.
They cleared everything.
Oh, okay, no, it's just taking a while to load. But yeah, all their videos are gone. It's just a bunch of liked videos now.
Sucks. That's the stuff. That's the thing that bothers me right there. I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe they didn't have a choice because I don't know the terms of the buyout. Maybe they had to do that because of the buyout, but it's still what sucks.
And I just checked now; their Twitter account no longer exists.
I'm not surprised by that either. What I figure is going to happen is Machinima's never going to come back. Whoever bought them is just buying their assets and then the rights to whatever shows that they had. So whatever company bought them is either going to make something new with those shows, or they're going to just go under their own name and then start something else with the rights they have now.
One Machinima spinoff that I really liked was Machinima Respawn.
Yeah, that was where all the top fives would be, and stuff like that.
I remember on Machinima Respawn they had the top 10 series with Anaj. He would always do Call of Duty Black Ops, Halo 4, Halo Reach.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely what got my interest in starting in the whole Machinima thing.
Yeah,
I think Machinima Realm was like kind of the last spinoff that they had.
Right, I remember that.
And they were around for a while, but it's kind of a shame to see a company like that go, especially with the whole rise of esports and gaming. But maybe they'll make a comeback with this purchase from Otter, but it's looking like it's a no right now.
I think thank you is in order to Machinima for their cultural impact that they've had. They've had their ups and downs. They've had a couple scandals in their heyday, but for the most part, I credit them again to the big reason why gaming is such a big and still is a big thing on YouTube to this day. So Machinima, hats off to you. Thank you for your service.
One last note, I will say, because of their service, I feel like not a lot, but like most of their their scandals have pretty much been forgotten just because of the impact they have had on the gaming community.
I would say so. And that's not to downplay some of the scandals that they've had. They've had issues with employees and payments and all that, and then show ownership and stuff like that. Yeah, and that stuff sucks. But that's conflicts you see in any production company or studio that's out there. So, like I said, the Machinima did have a huge impact, and yeah, you definitely, if you were somebody who grew up or started watching as in that era, you know what gaming content is and the prime that it was in around that time period. It was insane.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move on from that story. So I'm sure you guys have heard of plenty of like famous celebrities complaining that certain actions and like dances they do are in the video game Fortnite.
I hate this already.
One of which you might
talk about this.
one of which is Alfonso Ribeiro, who is upset that his Carlton dance was in Fortnite.
Yep, I remember this.
So in order to combat this, Alfonso Ribeiro attempted to copyright his dance. Like,
how hasn't he done that already?
Probably because it's a dance and not really something you can copyright, I would suppose.
I'm hearing two sides.
All right, well, let me get to the story really quick.
Ahead.
So, he went to the U.S. Copyright Office, and apparently they were skeptical about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actor Alfonso Ribeiro's ownership claim over the signature Carlton dance, which became famous after a 91 episode. So the Copyright Office is basically saying he did not come up with this. And I'm not entirely sure if this means like, someone behind the scenes, came up with the dance, or like if he stole it off of somebody else. But the U.S. Copyright Office is saying we're not copywriting this. There's nothing you can do about it. Sucks to suck.
Yeah, no shit. Like, it's a dance, dude. Like, he waited till Fortnite used the dance to make money off of it, and then he was like, I could have made money off my dance. I'm going to try to copyright it now.
So, according to Ribeiro, he created the alleged dance, but did not try to register that dance with the Copyright Office, presumably because he knows that he does not own the copyright. Which, I don't know. The story is a little twisted. I will say though, like, I'm not surprised that like, he's not able to, claim copyright over this, because I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. Like, I feel like, if I came up with like something famous or whatever like that, right, I would be more than happy if it was in the game, kind of spread it around and have more people do it.
It's, for me, this is really hard to sympathize with either side, because Brendy, especially you and me, we've been through the ringer with copyright issues because of the YouTube careers that we've had,
right,
with the various clans and stuff in the Call of Duty days. But for all at its core, copyright is a beautiful thing that exists, because it allows creators for to have their content protected and not be stolen and claimed by other people.
Right.
It gets annoying on YouTube, but that's YouTube's fault. That's not copyright law's fault. It's I find this really complex and something that is going to have to really go to court and get clarified, because Fortnite Epic, I looked this up according to Alt Press, and Epic is claiming that no one can own a dance step, and that it is rather a, quote, building block of free expression which are in the public domain. Okay, so the public domain means anybody can do it and whatever. I think the problem comes in that Epic is taking said dance and putting it into a video game as a purchasing item, right? Like, you buy this emote, this dance for your character to do.
Right.
Is that a problem for public domain? I don't know. I find this one to be strange. I'm curious what comes out of this. I actually am watching this one closely. I'm sorry if you hear the fucking helicopter that is flying around here. No idea what that is about.
FBI, open up.
Real quick, while you said that, we had a helicopter with a searchlight looking for somebody around here, and I opened the door to let my girlfriend into my building, and the spotlight shined right on me. Like, scared the shit out of me. I was like, can you not?
There's Jack Black. We got him. Get him.
Yeah, but But I don't know. This is an interesting case. I don't know where I stand on this issue because you wouldn't know what the dance was, unless Carlton or Alfonso Ribeiro did it, right? And then they talk about the Millie Rock, which was the first case I think that came out. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can do it, right? Like you can go to a dance party and do the dance, right? Like who's going to stop you from doing that? I think the problem lies with the fact that Fortnite made this dance inside the game and then sold it. That's I think what the issue is.
Yeah, I mean, but that brings up another question though. So what is that specific dance called in Fortnite? I'm curious because it's obviously not going to be the Carlton dance.
It changed its name, right?
Well, yeah, but like I know certain dances like they like resemble stuff from like famous like movies and TV shows, but like they're called something completely different. I just wonder if that was the case for the Carlton dance.
I think they changed the name. I don't think they called it the Carlton dance. They called it something else.
Okay, it's called something else.
Yeah, I figured.
So, and that brings up another question. Now, this alt press article, also says the Hollywood Reporter said that Ribeiro's claim about the Carlton dance was denied by the Copyright Office because it was a quote simple dance routine. But I kind of want this to go to court just so I can see what the final answer is on this kind of thing, because, like I said, I think the problem is that they're making money off of this dance. My second question then becomes okay, so let's say this goes to court, right? And the Copyright Office rules in favor of Epic and says that nobody can own a dance move, right? So then at that point, what's stopping games like Fortnite or really anybody for that matter from just naming it the Carlton dance when they upload it to Fortnite?
Well, would it be a terrible thing if it was called the Carlton dance? Because then you could just okay, so like you're on Fortnite, you see this cool dance called the Carlton dance. It's like, oh, I wonder, like, I'm a kid. I'm like, okay, well, I wonder what this is about. I Google it and I'd see this Fresh Prince clip of this this guy just doing the Carlton dance. I'm like, oh, that's pretty funny.
I know, because he doesn't need the publicity. It's Alfonso Ribeiro, like he's already a world-renowned actor.
I mean, he's asking for the publicity with this lawsuit,
right? So, but that also means he wants royalties.
Or I say lawsuit, but Copyright Office, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the idea is that I would think that if the court rules in favor of him and whoever else is suing them, saying that, oh yeah, it's their dance, so then that means that for Epic Games is gonna have to pay for the move and pay to be able to use the emote. So that means they're gonna pay Alfonso Ribeiro or whoever they decide owns that dance, as well as Backpack Kid and whatever. Or 2 milli. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into this too much, and maybe it's not as complex as I'm making it. But to me, it's like, okay, so if no one can own a dance step, then what's stopping Epic Games from calling it the Carlton dance in the store? And then if they do rule in favor, they're like, oh yeah, people can own dance moves. Then does that mean that they have to buy all these dance move emotes now? And then what implications does that have on other games and any other creator for that matter? That's my question. Right. I'm all for protecting people's work, right? And dance is, for all intents and purposes, an art. I don't have enough knowledge to talk about if dance routines fall into that kind of category or whatnot, right? But I know, like in movies, right? Like someone says a line in a movie and it's a world famous line. Then if you hear that line in something else that's unrelated to that original product, you're going to call that a stolen line, right? So even if it is just one sentence. Like, I don't know. This is a tough one for me to really have an opinion on. I'm kind of curious. Maybe this leads to nothing, and this is just, Alfonso Ribeiro just waving his arm saying, hey, look, no, that was me who did this. And then same thing with 2 million Backpack.
Yeah, I will say, like, I feel like I'm, you brought up a good point about the whole, making money off of it. I will say, like, for the most part, like, I wouldn't necessarily say like I'm on Epic Games side, but I'm not really on, Carlton's side anyway. I'm just like, in my opinion, like it's just a dance move. It's a body movement. I don't really think it's something you can copyright and sue for. That's just my take.
I don't know. This is a tough one for me.
But like you said, I like the court, like, if it does go to court, like you suggested, then it would be interesting to see what the verdict would be.
like I said, for me, it's just like copyright's there to protect artists, right? I consider dance and art. It's just a matter of how does that fall with dance moves like this. That's my question, right? Because I mean, I can't go out there and dance. Like I'm not going to be on dance with stuff. My sister can dance; she can dance her ass off. But I can't do it. But I consider those people artists. That's just me, though.
All right, so all right, I'm gonna move on to the last story. Then I'm just gonna try to keep this quick.
Okay, now the train. Fuck you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So, what would you guys say is the most you've ever spent in a video game store?
Well, am I buying a console or am I buying games?
Anything. You're in a game store. You buy stuff. Like, what's the most you ever spent?
Are you? Oh wait. Are you
saying the most money you've ever spent?
Yeah,
in a video game store. I would say over 400.
400.
You're not talking about like in-game store, like you're buying.
You're at GameStop. Most you've ever bought.
So not like microtransactions, like in a video game. You're talking about like going to GameStop or the Xbox store, and
or even the electronics section of like Walmart or something.
That's a whole different other conversation. I spent thousands in those sections, but in terms of, I mean, I gave $2,000 to Best Buy a few months ago. I think I'm with Tyler, somewhere between $400 and $500 at GameStop when I was buying an Xbox One and a few games. Probably, yeah, it's probably the most I spent in one trip.
All right. Well, the reason I bring up that story that question is because a recent copy of Super Mario Bros. Vintage, completely sealed, like it's a new copy.
Jeez.
Was just recently bought. I can't confirm exactly by who. Was just sold for $100,000. Completely sealed, not opened.
This is the original game. Who the hell found this? It's always my question with these things. Like, how old is that game?
That is a good question. I don't know. 1985, I think.
So 34-year-old game.
Let me check that really
sealed
quick.
for 30-something years.
Yes, 1985.
Did somebody drop it on the way out of the store? Like, how is that still sealed?
I don't know. My guess is, I mean, if you kind of think about it, like you could argue that was one of the first, generational, video games, and someone, maybe someone just had a keen eye and was like, I want to hold on to, a few dozen of these.
I mean, my question, like, look, I've said this before, I collect like sports cards and stuff like that, but I don't really know what the appeal is, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, that to collect the game and or collecting anything and keeping it in the package. Like, I don't know. That,
I never got this either.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
So like I collect, I've started a collection with the pop figures. The little small guys. And I have a few. I have a couple Star Wars ones. I have like a Batman one, Joker. I have a few, right? And I would like to keep buying them. And everyone insists like keep them in the case. Like even my uncle, who's like big nerd. And listen, I'm a total movie nerd and everything like that, and I'm all for keeping collector's items in the case every once in a while to preserve. But for the most part, for things like these pop figures, I'm taking them out of the fucking case. Like, what the hell? Why am I going to keep them in the case? It's going to take up that much room, and they look better when they're all set up on my desk. Like, I have a few sitting here, and they look fucking awesome. Like,
all right. So,
I can understand like buying. I'm sorry, Brendy. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, so I can understand like that they want to like keep the value by keeping them unopened. I understand that drives the price up, but for me, I'm not really buying to resell these things. I'm buying these to hold on to these things. You know what I mean? Like, and some people I've heard do it like, in case we're under, I can sell them and whatever. I don't know. No, I'm all for taking most of them out of the case, at least for the pop figures that I collect. I mean, some other items that are like really rare, like maybe not, but yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Ty. So,
all right, I'm just reading this article more. It's from Ars Technica. I don't know how to pronounce it, but so apparently that copy of Super Mario Bros. Is actually owned by 3 different people.
What?
One of which is a guy named Jim Halperin, who is the owner of Heritage Auctions.
Jim Halpern from The Office.
Wait a second.
Why?
Hold on.
What'd you say, Zach?
Jim Halpern.
Jim Halpern. The Office. Come on now.
No, that's it's spelled differently.
Damn it.
Can I
I said Halperin, not Halpert.
Show is not as funny as y'all claim.
Okay, we're
All
not
right, let me
talking
con-
about
let me
this right now
continue.
because I will fight you.
Let me continue. In the second, one of the guys was anonymous, but the third guy that bought it was a guy named. I just had his name. Where is it? Oh, okay. A guy named Rich Leachy. I think that's how you pronounce it. You may have actually heard of him. He had the Guinness Book of World Record for the largest video game collection, basically until 2010.
So he's trying to keep his record basically, or he's just a video game collector for God's sake.
Right.
And
And
going to that type of room and just seeing all those games, like what the fuck do you do with yourself?
okay,
Yeah.
no, and the third guy that bought it is a guy named Zach Gieg. He's a collector and owner of Just Press Play video games.
Is that like a local game store type thing, or like?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about it. When I first read it, I was like, oh shit, he's the owner of like those plug it and play it, video games.
Oh yeah,
But I don't think that's what it is. But but no. So those are the three buyers. Which I don't understand how you share a sealed video game three ways.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You got to get papers for that, right?
I don't even know.
I mean,
I would
I guess with a purchase that's $100,000, that makes sense. I'm just curious what they do with it. Like, it's like the Stanley Cup. Like everybody just tours with it. Like they're like, "Hey, look, I got a sealed copy of Super Mario Bros."
And then a week later, you give it to the next guy.
Right. I wonder what the chances are of like Ty. If you remember, me and him had a local store called Game Crazy that like had all these old vintage games and stuff that I could go to. It's been out of business for a few years, but it's just like how do you find these fucking things and these people? $100,000, $100,000. That's a car.
So
That's
all right,
more than a car.
So I do have a question
Fuck's
for you
sake.
guys.
Mhm.
The house.
Let's say like you're well off in life, like you make like $1 million a year. Would you purchase this?
No.
No.
No?
Like this is what I was talking about. Like that doesn't really mean anything to me. Like because I don't care about collecting that stuff.
I don't know. Like I'm not I'm not a video game collector either, but like I'd be tempted to, have a little bit of history on me.
Well, like
But-
the thing is, if I'm buying something like that, I want to use it. I don't want to keep it in
Right.
the case the whole time. Like
That-
but I'm not
Well,
buying a
you
video
collect
game for
baseball
$100,000. Well, that's see.
I mean,
like,
you have those like just laying around. You don't.
No,
use them,
no,
like,
but here's the difference, Brendy, is that the fact that when he buys a pack of cards is that he opens the card. They're expected to be open. You're not reselling packs. You're reselling this game. So he can open the pack and see what he has. Right? That's not against like collector rule here, but a collector rule for this case, this video game, is that it's not supposed to be open.
Okay, so question, Tyler. Let's say you get like an extremely rare baseball card. What are you gonna do with it?
I will say this. I haven't sold a card yet. Like I've never sold a card that I've ever gotten. Like I don't have anything very valuable, but there's a couple cards that are worth a little bit, and I've never sold them. Like if I had to get to the point where I had to sell them, obviously I would. But like I'm cool with hanging on to them. But like I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it's like comparing apples and oranges because it's not. Because like baseball cards are meant to be like baseball cards, hockey cards. 'Cause I collect all of them. Are all meant to be kind of sold and resold. Like it's a video game. Like like to me, it means that I should be playing and not like passing it around for money. Like it wouldn't appeal to me to own a copy of a video game that's sealed. Like it's just not my thing.
I'll say that if I was very well off and that came across me, it's not like I wouldn't consider that type of thing. However, what I will say is that's not going to be the first thing I'm seeking out. I think the first thing I'd be seeking out if I'm looking to buy like kind of collector's items is sports memorabilia, like game used stuff, signed pucks, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say. Well, I personally I'm a pretty big like Mario fan in general. Like I love like pretty much every single Mario video game.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really played the newer ones though, but Tyler, going back to my question, so like let's say like you get like a fucking I don't know Babe Ruth card, like you're not just gonna like leave it around like in your room and like let it get dusty. You're probably gonna want to like seal it up, right?
Well, yeah,
Get a case
or like something like that.
Sleeve, yeah.
Top loader, yeah.
Yeah, top loader. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I gotta at some point. And Ty, we should make a video out of this. Ty should be with me. I have like a whole fucking box of hockey cards that I have not sorted through yet.
I have
point.
about a whole. I probably have about 15 shoe boxes filled with stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like other boxes. I don't know. I mean, it's a very. I mean, this is off topic. It's a very expensive hobby, but that's the thing with any
That's why
collecting.
I haven't bought a pack in years. I have not bought a pack in years. I think the last thing that I got was I did a bit of a summer job where I was mowing lawn for somebody, and along with paying me, he said at the end he would give me all his hockey cards that he owned because he was actually he was moving to Las Vegas. So so he gave me a whole box, and I don't think I sorted through all of them. And I have a binder that has some of them sleeved up, and then I have a bunch of other shoe boxes. So I think we got to do like a live stream or a video of us going through all those. I'm sure it'd be pretty interesting. I would love to start collecting those cards again.
So this is kind of a dumb question, like just because I'm not familiar with baseball cards, but like, would it be possible today, like if you just like went to the store, bought a baseball pack, you could get like, you know, like a Babe Ruth card, like in a really old card like that?
Well, it depends because some, like what products you're buying are different. So like you can buy a pack that's strictly 2018, 2019, but you also might buy a box, and these are very expensive, but that has, you know, your players of today and players of the past, but typically it's more modern stuff. And then like, you know, if you can, like that, at least that's what they're making now. Like they're obviously not making like cards for old cards now, but yeah, the very valuable ones are the ones that you find in old packs that were made back in the day, and then, you know, find them. That's
right, like this is the 1975 Babe Ruth card, like kind of thing. Yeah. I think it works the same way. Like if you've ever tried like any of the Ultimate Teams in the EA games, like how they have like they have the regular packs that, you know, you can get like, you know, top cards in, like as like Ovechkin and Crosby kind of stuff. But also there's like every once in a while they do like a Legends promotion, right? Yeah. Right. So you buy like a Legends pack, and in that Legends pack you will get the cards that you would typically get inside in a regular pack, but you have a chance of getting a really top tier legend card. So I think it's how they do it, that they'll have kind of like special packs that you can buy that you have a chance of getting something really worthwhile. Kind of like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm really not informed on like the whole you know, card collection kind of thing. So I will say, you know, back in like elementary school, I used to collect like Pokemon cards. Like I didn't even know how to play the card game. I just like collecting the cards.
I used to collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards back in the day, and I played the ever-living shit out of it back then. And I've actually been collecting decks of cards, like decks of just typical 52 card poker style playing cards recently. It's actually been like if I go somewhere, like if I go on like vacation somewhere or visit somewhere, that's usually the first thing I'm looking for as a collector's item. Like I went to the it's called the Museum, which I actually think I heard is closing down recently, which is a shame. It's a journalism museum in Washington DC, and it was really cool. I went there for a class trip, and I ended up buying a deck of cards that was full of John Wayne scenes. And I also went to Boston a couple years ago and visited where they shot Cheers, the old TV show. And I bought a deck of cards that had a bunch of trivia on it, and then I bought some from south of the border in between the Carolinas, and a bunch of other stuff. I've been collecting decks of cards, and you'll know I linked that website a little while ago when I bought a new deck of cards, and I'm about to buy every single one of those up, man. Those are all so fucking nice.
I mean, to wrap up the point, like, look, I mean, we can all kind of agree. We like collecting some things. Just for me, I think like I wouldn't really want to collect like a sealed video game, because like I want to play it, man. What is it gonna do sitting there? It does nothing for me. And I know it's the same thing with cards, but you know, cards
are with a sealed video game though, like. If you just like leave it laying around, you know, take good care of it, like, you know, it'll accumulate value.
Right.
The question is whether or not
it's like gold.
The question is if he plans on reselling it later. Like if he buys that sealed game and then he plans on like reselling it down the line after it accumulates even more value, that's one thing. That's essentially an investment at that point.
Right.
But if he's buying it with the sole intention of keeping it, then if it's a video game, then yeah, I think the first thing I would want to do is keep it. Like I said before, though, you know, it wouldn't be if I was well off like that and I'm looking to buy collector's items. I don't think that's the first thing I would look for. However, if it did come across me for some weird reason, I'm sure I'd consider it. I'll say though that what what I've wanted to do is which Madden was it that had the GOAT edition with Brady? Was it 7, 18?
It's 18, yeah.
Okay. I didn't buy that Madden because I don't play Madden enough to buy it, right? And I didn't have $60 on me, but I still wanted the case, the Brady cover, right? So at some point, because I'm sure it's like $10 now, I'm gonna end up buying that case, whoever's reselling that game, just for the simple fact that I want the Tom Brady case. That to me is like collector's item, but that doesn't mean I won't stick it in the disc tray. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like that. Not like that game's gonna get any value. I mean, that shit's dead. But
so one last question I have for you guys. So it got sold for $100,000. To me, that seems like kind of a low price.
Oh, really? Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
For a vintage copy of Super Mario Bros. That has never been opened.
I mean, I don't have anything to really compare it to.
I mean, it was auctioned off, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was auctioned off or it was just sold. But
I thought it was auctioned. So, I mean, like, if it was auctioned, then that was the absolute highest amount someone was willing to pay for it.
I don't think
it was auctioned.
If it was sold here in the United States, which it sounds like this is a U.S. copy of the game.
It is.
Okay, so if it's a U.S. copy of the game, I don't think the market is big enough for that game. If this was like a Japanese copy in Japan, I'm sure it would sell for 5 times that.
So if you bought this copy, do you think like if you flew to Japan, you'd get a lot more money for it?
Not with the U.S. copy. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. I'm saying if you found back then they used to release games in different parts of the world in different years. I think this game especially because it came out in Japan first, and then I think Europe, and then the United States, or one of those two switched. And that was 3 separate years when the game came out. That's how they used to do it back in the day. I'm saying if you found a Japanese unopened copy of the game, I think that would sell for a ton more than $100,000, especially, and people in Japan and especially the United States would buy that up for a lot more. I think because it's a U.S. copy, it makes a little bit of a difference. I don't know. That's what I'm basically gonna, because I know Japanese copies of games are very high on the pedestal for these type of collector's items. So
I will say, like, I don't know. I personally just feel like it could be sold for a little bit more, especially just because of the whole. There was a comic book that got sold a couple years ago called Action Comics. I got sold for $3.2 million, which was basically a Superman comic back in 1938.
Wow.
Sold for 10 cents back in that day. But
was there an old PC game that somebody bought up for a couple mil? Let me look this up.
I don't know
real quick. But if I recall, it was like, well, okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I don't know. I think if a comic book can sell for $3.2 million, maybe an old video game will be there at some point. But you guys can disagree with me on that one.
I can't say I mean, we can argue about the worth all day long of the thing. I mean, if it was an auction, then it was an auction. But I mean, it could have definitely been worth more. I mean, someone out there is definitely willing to pay more than $100,000 for that type of thing. I know that person exists.
Right.
But I mean, $100,000 is still a ton of money. I mean, that's should not be overlooked. That's still a ton of money.
Right.
I just want to be that rich in my life where I can at least even consider buying a game.
Right.
Like that's my goal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, that's fine. Let's go ahead and move on.
All right, and now we move on to our second big topic, and this one is special because for the first time in Come Play podcast history, we have a guest to appear on the show to talk about some NFL. And I'll introduce him here. I will say that Bobby, our good friend Bobby, wrote a guest bio. So this is not my words; it's his.
Well, why doesn't fucking Bobby read it then?
Because
He's
Bobby
the host.
He's on the host. Fuck you, Zach. So introducing Bobby's roommate, good friend of his, our guy John. All right.
Our guy John.
Our guy John.
Oh, boy.
John. Boy John.
Man of the hour.
So let me read what Bobby put, all right? So John Travers is a student filmmaker, Baltimore native, and a diehard Baltimore sports fan, and for some reason the Chicago Blackhawks. He likes to torture himself every day by tuning into Masson. I know it's MASN whatever. It's
Yeah.
You said it right.
Yeah, and watching his beloved Baltimore Orioles give up 4 home runs in the first inning. He has something to say about the Flacco trade that has happened over the past couple of days, and I will as well. Well, obviously being traded to the Broncos. But ladies and gentlemen, John Travers.
Woo! Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you.
Absolutely.
As I stumbled through
Welcome.
that, but
Yep. Yeah.
it's fine.
Could you have thrown less shade at Baltimore here, please? Like, if I ever get brought back, can I put that on
I love how Bobby's the one throwing shade at people for being a fan of certain sports teams.
Right?
Well, I live in New Jersey, even though we have 3 sports teams that are.
Didn't we already
than
have
the
this
Patriots.
conversation, Mister? I'm a fan of the Warriors before they were good. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, you skid on him about that, but I feel like I'm more the target. Like, I literally like a team on the other side of the country.
Yeah, but they haven't been good for a while.
I mean,
They've been good. They just choke.
Yeah, they've been good.
Since
That's
a man
not
named
good.
Manning left, I mean, they haven't been very good.
The Falcons are good. They just choke literally every game.
All right, so let's. We have so much for the quiet time for the NFL season. What a week we've had in the NFL. A lot of news. We have the 3 big headlines here. The first one being Joe Flacco, a longtime Baltimore Raven, being traded to the Denver Broncos for. Well, it's basically the trade can't go through until March 13th, I believe, but in principle, being traded to the Denver Broncos, which oh my god, I can't fucking talk. Here we go, boys. For
Take your time.
what is supposed to be a mid-round draft pick. So me being a Broncos fan, I will have my opinion on this. But first, I'm going to go to our special guest this week, John, to just how are you feeling about this? I mean, Joe Flacco has kind of, he's been the guy there, and I know there's a lot of stuff, for a couple of years we were debating if he was elite or not. That was a big debate in the sports world. But how are you feeling about this trade and Flacco leaving?
Well, it's interesting you bring up him being elite. In all honesty, when you look at elite and Joe Flacco, you have to put an asterisk and say playoffs. Elite Joe Flacco, because there are 2 for some reason. In the regular season, he's about as inconsistent as a piece of paper floating in the wind, and in the postseason, he's pretty consistent as far as being good. I mean, he'll throw interceptions typically, but I mean, last time he had a good postseason run was 2012, because I mean, 2014 was kind of just like look at them, they actually made it in the playoffs this year, cool, sort of thing. But in all honesty, when it comes to the trade itself, I got to say the Ravens did win on this one, because when you look at Joe and his consistency over the past year, and that's a big word that goes around with Joe, is consistency, where he hasn't produced like he should. When you look at Joe and his value as far as a tradable player, it's maybe you're going to get a 6th-round pick for him typically, but for some reason the Broncos decided, no, we're comfortable giving up a 4th round to the Ravens in order to get this guy. So I think that I would count that as a win for the Ravens, because everybody around here, like on sports, on various talk radios and various social media and media insiders and everything like that, were thinking, we're just gonna have to cut him and cut our losses. We're gonna have to pay him the $20 million we owe him for the end of his contract, and we're gonna have to go from there with it. But for us to be able to trade him to you, for you to take his contract, and that just leaves you with Case Keenum and figuring out what you want to do with him. But I think this is a big win for the Ravens, but I think it's a bit of a win for the Broncos as well, because what Joe can do, because Joe has a cannon, and with playing in Mile High, we've obviously seen him have some success there. With Joe's cannon, he'll be able to.
Don't remind me of that playoff game.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm gonna be honest. I was doing laps in my front lawn after that. But yeah, with Joe's success in Denver and with his cannon of an arm, I think he'll have some success throwing the deep ball. Just the real question, and especially since you do have some receivers there, I think Joe will be able to have a little bit of success. I'm not saying he'll be a playoff quarterback, nor will he take you to a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. I mean, I hope he does because Joe's a good guy and everything like that. But he'll have some mediocre success there, where he'll probably finish off his career in Denver, or he'll move on to another city after this year. So
yeah. Now
He'll finish in Arizona. I'm telling you.
Arizona.
I disagrry.
That's where every player goes to die.
I think he'll finish in Washington if he's gonna, finish anywhere. Either that or Jacksonville.
Or he's the second string to Carson Wentz in the Eagles.
I don't think that will ever be the case.
He could go home.
That would be such a waste for Joe.
It's an absolute waste, but
no, it's a waste for the Eagles because they would have to pay him. And
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I will say this: it is interesting because Flacco was actually having a really good year until he got injured, and then Lamar Jackson took over. I mean, I say really good year. He seemed like his best self this year, and I don't know why that is, but.
And I think that is a big reason why the Broncos did want to trade for him and why we did get something for him was because until his hip injury, we went on a 3-game losing streak. And in the NFL, you might as well kiss your ass goodbye at that point. But when you go on to have a productive first half of the season like Joe had, and then he got hurt, it does say that, hey, this guy, when he's under pressure, he can do wonders. And I think Lamar being brought in was actually beneficial to Joe during those weeks because everybody was clamoring for Lamar. This needs to be Lamar's team. We need to send Lamar out there. And then until Joe got hurt, he was close to 60% for his quarterback rating, closer than he had been since probably 2012, if not his entire career. So when you look at Joe's ratings during those times, he was doing very good with us during those weeks.
Yeah, one thing I do want to touch on here is Lamar Jackson because we had a conversation a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and it was kind of out there, but we were talking about being a Hall of Famer, and I wasn't saying Lamar Jackson was a Hall of Famer. Let me preface that by saying it, but I was saying that, to be a Hall of Famer, you have to do something, you have to transform or do something in your position. And I was saying how I was comparing, Lamar Jackson to Michael Vick, and how Lamar Jackson is this new style of quarterback which last year, like, teams just could not figure out. And Lamar did very well and obviously used his feet to his advantage. How do you feel about him going forward? Because I know, when you guys drafted him last year, the intention was for him to sit a year. But here we are. Now he gets a starting job this year. Joe Flacco is not on the team anymore. Like, he's the guy now. How are you feeling about him for this season and moving forward?
I feel that it'll be very interesting looking at Lamar going forward because, yes, teams can figure him out, but as we saw with the Chargers game in the wild card round, we did not protect Lamar. We didn't give Lamar time, and so I think Lamar is only as good as his offensive line, which is the case for a lot of quarterbacks because, in my opinion, that's why Brady's been able to be as productive as he is at 40. Yeah. That's why Aaron Rodgers is always hurt. Like you're looking at two opposite ends of the spectrum with two very elite quarterbacks. Rodgers is the more athletic of the two, but you see with Aaron Rodgers, when you don't have an offensive line in front of you, and you saw it with Lamar last year in the playoffs, and you saw it with even our running game, when you don't have an offensive line, there's nothing you can do offensively because the quarterback doesn't have time to get the ball off, nor does the running back have the hole to run through. So it's interesting. It's going to be very interesting with Lamar where the pieces around him are going to have to be the right pieces. Because look at what he was able to do when the offensive line was clicking, when the running game was clicking, and when the receivers, for some reason, were able to catch his balls versus Joe's balls, which in my opinion, I think just to go back to Joe's quarterback rating, he was hitting his receivers in the hands; they would just drop it. So that is something to say about our receivers, not necessarily Joe Flacco. But to jump back to Lamar, I have a feeling that teams will be able to figure out Lamar. They'll make him throw, and they'll make him have to extend plays with his arm, not with his feet. And that's odd because typically you would think that it's reversed, but with Lamar, his main weapon is his legs right now. And it was the downfall of Michael Vick, and it'll be the downfall of Lamar if he can't figure out how to throw the ball consistently.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like I think what teams are going to start doing is they're going to test Lamar and say, look, you're not going to beat us on the ground. You have to make plays. You got to throw the ball. He's just such a dynamic threat. And, it's really interesting what they have. I mean, obviously the whole thing with the Ravens last year and what their success was based on was that unpredictable offense and then their amazing defense, which as a Broncos fan, I can say that defense can alone win you championships. I mean, the Broncos won Super Bowl 50 because of their defense, and it's almost impressive that with how bad their offense was, they actually won it. So
yeah. And if you look at our 2000 team, we had the best defense of all time.
Yeah.
With the 2000 Ravens, and that's why they were able to go to the Super Bowl, was because of that defense too.
Yeah. And it's just like I know a lot of people were, but I was a big fan of Lamar Jackson coming out of college. I mean, he's such a dynamic threat, and he's kind of showed it in the league. Now, as a Broncos fan, this is kind of, to me, and I don't know who said this, but it was kind of perfectly said. I seen on ESPN that this is Elway just basically trying to survive here. He's taking a shot at this point. Joe Flacco is 34 years old, and the Case Keenum experiment didn't work out, which that's the money that they gave him last year after one good season out of his whole goddamn career was kind of insane. I mean, they gave him a 2-year deal for $36 million.
He was not worth that contract, I can tell you that.
He is not worth, that's for sure. So he's due $18 million this upcoming season, and $7 million of that is guaranteed. So, if they end up cutting him or trading, we'll kind of have to see. But the Broncos are going to carry $10 million in dead money if they cut him. And then as for Flacco, he doesn't have any more guaranteed money on his contract, but this year he gets paid $18.5 million. Next year, $25 million, and then in 2020, 24. So, I mean, that's a lot of money as well for a guy who, he's been battling. He's 34 years old, and some of the injuries he's had through his career and the problems last year. I mean, when I first seen this trade, Brendy texted me and said, the Broncos just got Flacco. My exact words were, "Oh, good. Now we have two average." I shouldn't say Flacco is above average, but we have two average overpaid quarterbacks. And we're gonna have to get rid of one of them here, and it's gonna cost us money. Like I said, with Elway, it's kind of just like, it almost seems like his last breath. He's just trying to do something at this point. And look, I hope it works out, but the Broncos right now are in a little bit of a transition. They have a lot of good young players that will be good for the future. But in my opinion, they don't have a team right now that can win a Super Bowl. So what I would have done is I would have taken a quarterback in the first round this year, or gotten a quarterback at some point this year and kind of gave him a year under Keenum, and then put him on his way. But instead, we get somebody who's 34 years old, with a team that's not going to win the Super Bowl, and now we have a lot of money to pay. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, the trade can't go through until March 13th. So, I mean, technically, one of these teams could pull out of this deal, but for all intents and purposes, not going to happen. So yeah, Joe Flacco to the Denver Broncos, and we will see where Case Keenum ends up, if he ends up getting cut or traded, or what happens there. And then the next bit of NFL news we're going to go on to now is the whole Antonio Brown saga in Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh has been an interesting place this year. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell not reporting all year. Now we have Antonio Brown and his rift with Juju and Big Ben getting older. It's been an interesting case, but Antonio Brown requested his trade. Requested a trade a couple of days ago, and this is interesting timing because for him, he's gotten into a lot of trouble recently. He was found guilty of reckless driving, and so that trial just went through. He was apparently going over 100 miles per hour. There's been things with him with just stuff on social media, so it's been interesting. The places that he's rumored to go is, I think the favorite is the Arizona Cardinals, and then you have the 49ers, and I think the Broncos are there too. But Bobby, I kind of want to ask you a question because the Patriots and the Steelers have been a rivalry now for a couple of years. It's the two big AFC teams, and they look at this team now. You're not going to have Le'Veon next year. You're most likely, I mean, if even if you don't trade him, I don't see Antonio Brown playing for you next year. Like, what happened to this team and how did they get here?
There's I don't know what to point to and say how did they get here, but if one thing's for certain, Bell proved his point, like in so many goddamn ways. Like, just look at the season contrast between this past season and the season previous, where the Steelers were screwed out of the championship basically in their game against Patriots, and then they didn't even make the playoffs this season. Yeah. I think what happened is team chemistry went down, rifts got high, locker room was not in good shape, and Tomlin, who was to me not really known for the guy who's going to be able to kind of keep everybody together and as one team, let it slip, and there was just really no hope for them getting all on the same page, and now they're just turning into just a shit show, really. I mean, so Brown asked for a trade. Le'Veon Bell's gone. Ben is getting older, whether they want to admit it or not. He's not the elite quarterback that everybody still thinks he is. He can still throw the ball. He's still a thorn in the side, in my side. I've said 100 times that the Steelers are a team I hate playing in the playoffs. I know we've had their number the past few years, and I'm happy for that, but they still worry me. I still think, man, Juju can be the guy on this team now, especially with AB gone. I really do. I really like the kid. Like, yeah, you're high on him too. I know you're really high on him, but oh my god, man, I really don't know what happened to this team. I'm almost curious now if we're gonna see just a full blown blow up on this team and just start I guess what would be a rebuild at this point, because because now they lost AB, they lost Bell, who they're not old by any means. They're still, top tier guys right now. They lost the guys that they could have built the team around for the next few years. And Ben's going to be gone the next couple of years, probably. Juju's going to be the guy they're probably going to build around now. So they're going to have to figure something out. So my guess is that, so everything I'm reading says that they're probably going to trade for a high ranking draft pick, right? So they get a first round pick. They got to get a quarterback now, right?
Well, they did draft Mason Rudolph last year out of Oklahoma State, I believe.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, so they did draft her quarterback last year. One thing I forgot to say about Brown is it was also cited in a possible domestic violence case. just a
Chris
while.
was.
Yeah, so that is one thing I forgot to add because I was like, I know there's something like, he's had a lot. It says last month he apparently pushed the mother of his daughter to the ground.
Nice. Nice.
So that was the other thing. So yeah, I mean it's kind of all falling apart. But I mean the other thing about this is why I mentioned all those things about AB is that, look, for a player like that, with the talent of him, you're always going to find a trade partner. There's no question about that. But does this now diminish his value? Is kind of the thing because Go ahead, John.
I would argue that it does diminish his value because when you look at what the NFL is now, it's a big corporate brand. With even like we saw this with the Ravens back in 2014 or 15 with Ray Rice. That domestic violence case against him, while granted that was on camera, that and that showed the proof there. The NFL, when it comes to domestic violence, is very adamant on cracking down on it and very adamant on like being against it. So I wouldn't be shocked if teams were weary going in because the PR nightmare of that, if that comes out being true, of any sort of domestic violence, which is, in all honesty, is a horrible thing in general. But when it comes to the NFL, they treat it as it's the death sentence for your career. In that case, like look at Kareem Hunt. He went from Kansas City to Cleveland, and look at Ray Rice. He's banned from the NFL. You look at various cases, and these guys, they're essentially just being stupid because when you look at them, they're multi-million-dollar players who are being stupid in that case, who can't keep their temper.
If I can jump in for a second here. Here's the thing though, because you mentioned ending careers, but does it really though? I mean, yeah, Kareem Hunt went from playing on a Super Bowl caliber team to playing for the Browns, which I mean, and we can, the Browns are now finally starting to get some credit now, but we've seen time and time again that even though these domestic violence cases happen, that people always still find a way back into the NFL. It's always the joke that a team like the Browns are always going to sign whoever gets released due to these type of issues. So yeah, this case could definitely hurt the trade value that the Steelers get for Brown, whoever they decide to trade to. But in terms of hurting his career, I don't think I can totally agree with that. I mean, first of all, he's always wanted to go to the 49ers. He always wants to go to San Francisco. He's mentioned that multiple times. He apparently, I'm reading here, he photoshopped himself in a 49ers jersey, which I didn't know. So that's funny, but so he's already planning to go to a kind of, I guess, at the moment, lower tier team anyway, because and we've talked about this before, Tyler, on previous episodes, that he's looking to be the guy elsewhere. Like he's going to be the guy on that team, right?
I mean, I think really any team he goes to, he'll be the guy. I mean, he's right. The best.
Well, right, but like, you look at him and say he goes, like, let's just say somehow he goes to the Patriots, right? I mean, he's not totally going to be the guy. He might be the best receiver they have, but at the end of the day, he's still going to be in Brady's shadow. Right. So, but at least at the 49ers, it doesn't matter who's throwing to him. He's going to make the catch. So he's going to be the guy. And the 49ers end up getting, they should get Jimmy G back, right? So
yeah, they'll have Jimmy G back, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll be back, and then they'll be in good hands. So my point is like, so even if it's not the 49ers, right, it's definitely someone like Cleveland or I don't know, Miami or something like that. It's gonna be one of those lower tier teams still. So his career is gonna be fine, and they're still gonna pay him. So it's gonna be one of those things that it's always gonna be in the back of your head, but he's still gonna get paid for what he does.
Here's the thing, though, when you look at his trade value, like what you said previously. With what the Steelers could get for him, he's going to have this stigma now of this domestic violence guy. So, along with a lot of other players, and that is going to cause teams to be weary. Cleveland, maybe not so much at this point, because they're still the Browns until proven otherwise. And then
because they're the fucking Browns, that's why.
And then you look
Yeah,
at
man.
teams like San Francisco who are on the up and up, and if they didn't lose Jimmy G, I'm convinced they would have been a playoff team last year.
No,
It
I think so too.
I
Playoff,
think that
maybe.
when you look at where he could go, I think that his trade value, they'd be weary for him. But the Steelers have got to get rid of him. They've got to get rid of Bell. They got to get rid of Brown. But the person they really need to get rid of is Mike Tomlin, because you
I've
cannot
been
let
saying
your
this for a
locker
long
room
time.
you cannot let your locker room like implode on itself like that. I don't care who's in it. I don't care what stars you have. Their ego should not be bigger than their organization. And you, as the head coach, have to set a precedent for that. And the fact that he can't do that means something.
So it's funny. So I was watching an account we've referenced multiple times that I've been binging recently is a YouTube channel and Twitter account by Urinating Tree. This guy makes tons of videos, sports related videos, basically trashing and going through each team with no filter.
Yeah, thanks for sending that one to me this morning.
Yeah, sent him the one about the Orioles. Yeah, that was great. So in case nobody knows about him, he's a total yinzer, right? He's from Pittsburgh. He's Steelers, Pirates, whole nine, right? But what's interesting with him is that he is not afraid to say, no, I fucking hate this team. And he did one on the Steelers recently. And he, for like a couple of seconds, he brought up Mike Tomlin and he said, like, yeah, I don't understand why everyone's saying, he basically, if I remember correctly, said something along the lines of, do you understand the people who would kill slaughter like an animal sacrifice to get Tomlin? Like Cleveland would pick him up. Somebody would pick him up. You know what I mean? So I just don't think he's this high caliber coach, though. I mean, and it's hard to say looking back because, I mean, the Steelers have always been a successful team. They just can't get past the championship round each time. I mean, that's really the only thing. I mean, look, Garrett in Dallas is getting an extension for making the playoffs for the first time in how many years? Like, and he's getting a multi-million-dollar extension for that.
Another coach that really needs to be fired.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to happen with that team. But that's a whole.
Dallas is on the rise. One more time, I swear to God, I'm just going to say, until Jason Garrett's gone, you're not going anywhere.
I never thought Mike Tomlin was the guy. He's not that coach to me. Like, I'm not scared of him. I'm just scared of the talent on the field. I'm not scared of the system he had put in place. I was scared of AB just tearing us apart.
Here's my question. I mean? Do you think that he won? So when they won the Super Bowl in 2008, do you think that he won that team because he built that team, or do you think that he built it with Bill Cowher's team, or that he won it with Bill Cowher's team? He just happened to be there because that was the whole stigma with John Gruden when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl back in 2002. It was he didn't win the Super Bowl. Tony Dungy set the work and did all the work for them winning the Super Bowl. He just happened to be there at the time.
Yeah, I sorry to cut. No, I was just saying because like Tomlin has always. I'm actually seeing like a lot of Steelers fans ripping him.
For what?
But Tomlin has had. Yeah, I mean he's had success in the regular season, and he has had some playoff success. I mean. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like he kind of lost the locker room, and before the start of this past season, you're looking at a team with the offense consisting of, even with how old he is, he's still a great quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, as your big three, and now you have one of them. And he's probably he's the oldest out of all of them, and his career is winding down. And the other thing is that it's going to be interesting to see for the Steelers because as much as I love Juju and I think he's a great wide receiver, was he the product of was he benefiting from being the second wide receiver on that team, and the other team the focal point is to cover AB, and was he benefiting from being the guy on the other side? That's going to be the other thing. We got to see if Juju is going to be able to actually be the number one when he's, going to be getting doubled now because, you don't have to double AB. Juju is going to be the guy that gets doubled and stuff like that. So it's going to be really interesting.
Here's I did want to give one quick answer for John's original question though was talking about Mike Tomlin. So even let's just say like that he's all credit in the world for building that 2008 Super Bowl team, right? Okay, good for him. But we're 11 years later, right? And you've made the playoffs, multiple times, but you still haven't gone past the championship round. At what point does we'll be there next year stop being relevant, right? Stop being the relevant argument, right? Because now you didn't make the playoffs. So now you're really in trouble because now everybody's looking at you like, oh wait, crap, we haven't done shit. We haven't done a goddamn thing.
10 years have flown by real quick.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and they're probably still high on that Super Bowl, and I totally expect that. But 11 years later, at one point does we just we'll get there next year. We'll get there next year. Just stop being the argument to make for keeping Mike Tomlin, because now his locker room fell apart. And he couldn't get back together, and they missed the playoffs. So I don't think there's any excuse anymore.
I mean, the last Super Bowl they went to was 2010. It doesn't look good.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird. Like, with the Steelers missing this season, I can't. The Steelers are just like always a staple every year. It's for the AFC. When the Broncos were actually a good team. The staples of the AFC were the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Steelers.
Right.
And now it's the Patriots. It's something. But let's move on because we are kind of going over here. But last thing I just did want to touch on was, and John had mentioned this, Kareem Hunt signs with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns kind of did it in the most Browns way possible too. Their Twitter, they didn't comment on. Literally, their Twitter just said, "We've signed Kareem Hunt," and that was it. And
I released a statement. I thought I saw two statements.
The first thing they released was that. Then they released statements. But for a while, it was that's all that there was. It was just, "We've signed Kareem Hunt."
I mean, they had to kind of prepare that statement for a while. I don't blame them for rushing that one out. They had to make sure they covered all fucking ends of this conversation.
Yeah.
Dear God Almighty.
This, I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is
Can we at least read this one statement though? I want to read. I want to. Let me find it. I gotta find it. This damn statement about this, because this is just weird, man. I gotta find it.
I think a lot of the experts were saying if any team was going to take a shot on Kareem Hunt, it would be the Browns, and here we are. It is interesting. I will bring up one thing, is that it is kind of weird that they did sign him, because the year that Nick Chubb just had, his first year in the league, they still have Duke Johnson there. They're actually pretty, they have a good duo there. And I know it's Kareem Hunt who's in. When he's on the field and not beating women, he's a Pro Bowler. But, that's the thing about him. But yeah, go ahead. Do you have that statement?
Yeah, I got it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it's pretty lengthy, but I did want to read a couple things. So this is from GM John Dorsey. I'm saying that right, Dorsey? Yeah.
Dorsey.
Okay. Yeah. So all right. So talked about in the beginning how his relationship and interactions with Kareem were starting in his college days. He said there were two important factors for signing him. And he said one is that Kareem took full responsibility for his actions and showed true remorse. And secondly, just as importantly, he's undergoing and is committed to necessary professional treatment and a plan that has been clearly laid out. We've heard this before. We fully understand and respect the complexity of questions and issues in signing a player with Kareem's history and do not condone his actions. Given what we know about Kareem through our extensive research, we believe he deserves a second chance, but certainly with the understanding that he has to go through critical and essential steps to become a performing member of this organization, aside from what the NFL determines from their ongoing investigation. So, what
extensive research did they do? Look at his internet history or something like that?
Yeah, I really don't know.
Seriously, they sound like the fucking FBI.
Yeah. And it's funny. So they said we fully understand Kareem is subject to discipline by the NFL, and God knows what that's actually going to be.
I was gonna say, because he's still on the. I think I'm correct in saying this. I think he's still on the commissioner's exempt list.
Is he?
And like he still has to be like he might get suspended for the whole year next year. Like it's still up for debate.
Possible. He gets a game.
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, like
Goodell's a joke.
Like how much should like Zeke got? What 4 games?
He got
think it
he
4
got
games.
6.
6.
after-
Yeah, 6.
He got
That's right.
6 games after a lengthy court in and out battle.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
right.
Ray Rice who got 4 games originally, and then obviously was banned. But
Yeah.
How much did Pearson get when he beat his kid?
a year.
Was it a year? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's
God,
it's
you
gonna-
gotta love the consistency of the National Football League. Dear Christ.
Roger the Clown Goodell. I love it.
I mean, look, I know it's something that they talk about all the time with like the whole domestic violence thing in the NFL, and it's a problem. But holy fuck, it really is a problem. It's like, dude, it's like every month, like there's a player getting accused of domestic violence. It's
Right.
crazy.
And then that's why I said earlier.
Up today.
That's why I said earlier about AB. Like, of course he did, because it's always a high-profile player, going through some type of career-changing move, and sometimes it's like, oh wait, did you know there was a domestic violence case a few years ago? It's like, oh my god, it's a train wreck, right? And there are people who debate like, if there's any domestic violence cases that shouldn't be even allowed in the NFL, and I'm not going to get into all that. The problem being is that it's not about whether or not they want to be in the NFL or not. It's that the NFL can't make up its goddamn mind over how much they should suspend or punish a player each time this happens, right? They don't have a set precedent. And I think the other part of it is that whatever research, like, we're making fun of the intensive research that the Browns did for Kareem Hunt, but what research is the NFL doing, right? I mean, so we know they're talking with the authorities, right? Like whatever police, is handling that case. But, what determines the game length? They don't ever tell us. They don't ever say anything about, oh, it's 4 games because it was 2 bruises.
Yeah.
That sounds
Oh my God.
that sounds stupid and messed up, but truly, like, what else could it be? Right?
Yeah.
Like what is the precedent for suspending somebody a year versus a game for domestic violence cases? That's what I don't understand.
I think Roger Goodell is just throwing darts at a dartboard, and wherever it lands, that's what they get.
Yeah, and it's like,
And the
and the other thing
bullseye
is like it's gotta be a plea deal thing, right? It's like, okay, look, you make a lot of money. You are one of the top draws in the NFL right now. If you go into care, I will give you 1 game. And that's the conversation. I'm convinced at this point.
I'm convinced that it's a dartboard, and if he hits the bullseye, then you're suspended indefinitely without pay.
I will happily hear from somebody who knows better than me on this type of stuff, but we see this time and time again, and you can't really blame any of us or any of the fans, for that matter, for being angry when this type of thing happens. We've heard this story 100 times already. At what point do they crack down on this completely and say, look, if you do this, you're getting a year. Like, that's it. Because they'll take 4 games. Like, say Hunt gets 4 games. Okay, he's back at it and top star of the NFL again. Like, it's like it doesn't matter. Players will hesitate more for a year. It's kind of a domino effect here.
Well, to get off of the domestic violence issue, with
please
Kareem
do.
Hunt, just looking at, we've seen it before with even Adrian Peterson. He goes from MVP of the league with the Vikings to bouncing around the league with where is he now? Washington, and finding success there finally after 5 other teams, something like that.
He played for New Orleans and was pissed off that he wasn't top running back, so he got traded
to Arizona. Yeah,
right.
So when you look at running backs, there's almost a question: are running backs a product of systems, or because a lot of a running back's future depends on the offensive line that he has.
Yep.
And I went back and I had said this with Lamar Jackson: without the hole, the running back can't do shit. So when you look at the you have to look at Cleveland's offensive line to even decide how Kareem Hunt will even do. Right. Because obviously he'll be fine as a receiver because Baker Mayfield, unless he miraculously, like, for some reason, unfortunately, breaks himself in like a million different pieces and cannot play for next year, then Kareem Hunt will be fine as long as he's on the field. If he's not on the field, because he's suspended, that's a whole different issue. But if he's actually running the ball and not going out as a receiver, then that's a big question as to how he'll do.
The other thing too is that entire. Sorry to cut you off, but
No,
the other thing too is like this is him on this team now. Given he's not given a year's suspension, the Browns now are kind of a threat in a way. Because now Baker Mayfield has proven himself. I feel like I don't know if what you guys think. I think he's proven himself.
I mean, he had a good first year for sure.
Right. So and
Honestly,
then
he's my favorite quarterback.
I love
genuinely
Baker.
my favorite quarterback.
I love a
like
lot of people
Lamar
are
and
giving
everything,
him shit
but-
out of college, but goddamn, I wish the Broncos got him.
Remember when they said that like he was going to lose his draft value because when he grabbed his crotch at that one game?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, no, he's not. He's he's gonna be fine. People love this shit. So, but no, I think he's proven himself a quarterback, and now they filled the hole that they really need on offense. Now they have a potentially killer running back now.
Okay.
So
we can't say killer.
oh jeez. You know what? Yeah,
we're
you know what?
The NFL.
Yeah,
like,
you know what? Yeah, I'm there. I'm sorry.
If we were talking about
good,
baseball, that'd be different.
solid,
like, seriously,
talented running back.
There you go.
Definitely
Better
create some
words.
opportunities on offense. Sorry, yeah, bad
Better
choice of words.
language
I apologize.
there, pal.
Yeah, I apologize.
Come on, don't just take out half the NFL here.
But no, I mean, it'll be interesting. You know, does that mean Duke Johnson goes? Probably, and he was probably their, because he would be their best receiving back. So we'll see. But yeah, the Browns could be a.
I would argue he doesn't. I think I think they're trying to build what's the proverbial the old phrase from back in the day, the 3-headed dragon at running back.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to do.
I think if they could, they would. It's just I don't know. It might be a situation with salary cap. I mean, I know the article I'm reading. It's from CBS, and I don't know if this is completely true or not, but they're saying Kareem Hunt only signed for about $1 million.
I was about to say he's not in any place to make high demands here.
Yeah,
he's not. But give him a season or two, and he will be.
Okay, yes, but that's after a season or two of productivity and whether or not he even produces
or he even plays. So
exactly.
It'll be interesting. But let's. We've been on this for a hell of a long time, but it was a good talk. It has
been fun.
Yeah, we're gonna move on now. Thank you, John, for joining us, our first ever guest. Really good discussion points. Hopefully, we'll be back. You'll be back on again soon.
I will happily come back if you're willing to have me.
Well. So the other thing I want to mention, I mentioned it in the trashy guest bio that I wrote for him earlier. He's also a huge Orioles fan. I know baseball is going to be coming up very soon.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'd happily have him on for some baseball talk if he's willing.
That'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah. For now,
thank you for having me.
Yep.
And
thank you guys so much again.
Yep. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah, we're gonna move on now to Zach's track of the week.
This week I have a deep dubstep song. I'm gonna go with dubstep today since I'm going to see Excision tonight in Atlanta, sold out show. It's a song. First of all, I want to say it's a song made entirely out of sounds from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh my God! What?
It's called Neee-Womp by Slawth.
Oh my God! I'm listening to this later. God damn it!
I'm gonna go ahead and post it on Twitter. So if you like underground, electronic music, if you like dubstep, give it a listen. Cool song. Right. And also if you like Monty Python, definitely check it out.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm interested.
Good stuff. All right, we're gonna end the show there. Thank you as always. We're having a lot of fun doing this milestone episode for us today, episode 20. As always, I will plug everything. I will just say if you need to contact us or want to contact us, at Come Play Network on Twitter is where to reach us. I do want to say a special thank you again to our guest this week, John. Really had some good insight and was good stuff there. We will be back next week for episode 21.
21.
He was holding on to that.
Oh yeah, he absolutely was. You heard it too. Oh my God, that was great.
But until then, we will see you next time for episode 21 of the Podcast.
7.